having an affair with her fiancé's brother during the day. Huan's greatest regret was provoking her fiancé's brother in order to take revenge on her fiancé. She initially planned to sleep with him and then leave, but it turned out that it was easy to invite the spirit but hard to send it away. One night of passion led to mutual entanglement. Lord Lu, this matter should be based on mutual consent. Xiao pressed closer. That doesn't work with me if I want it, you have to want it too. Chapter 1, A Mistaken Kiss. In the dimly lit living room, the candlestick on the coffee table cast a flickering glow over the entangled couple on the sofa. The man's broad back completely enveloped the woman beneath him, leaving only soft, sorrowful murmurs. Suddenly, the man paused. Is it your first time? Huan snapped back to reality from the pain, but that pain was quickly overshadowed by panic. The familiar yet strange voice made her feel as if she had fallen into an ice cellar. She realized that the man pressing down on her was not her fiancé. It was her fiancé's brother, the infamous Lord Lu, whom everyone avoided. Xiao. A wave of terror engulfed her as she stiffened, forcing her alcohol-numbed brain to recall how all this had happened. Earlier that day, she had just gotten engaged to her fiancé, Lu Jingyang. They were supposed to have their first night together tonight. But after she took off her clothes, Jingyang was called away by a phone call from his cousin. Even when she tried to hold on to him, he humiliated her by saying she was desperate. Then, she drank an entire bottle of red wine alone. In her drunken haze, she vaguely remembered Lu Jingyang returning. This time, he was particularly passionate. So passionate that he directly pressed her down on the sofa. The clearer her memories became, the colder Huan felt, her lips trembling. Why you? The man above her smirked, his pronounced brow casting a shadow over his deep-set eyes, his tone tinged with a playful mockery of life. What's wrong, future sister-in-law? Hearing this title made Huan's blood rush to her head. She suddenly pushed him away, standing barefoot on the floor, pointing at him with trembling lips. Why? Why did you? Xiao leisurely sat up, pulled out a cigarette, lit it, and took a deep puff. As the smoke curled around him, his gaze brazenly roamed over Huan's body. Sorry, I thought this was your way of entertaining guests. You? Huan knew he was being unreasonable, yet she felt powerless against him. Because she vaguely remembered that she had been the one to cling to him first. Moreover, everyone knew the name of the second master of the Lu family. His status was secondary. What was most troubling was his unpredictable temperament. Who would dare to cross him? Huan. Xiao's inherently magnetic voice took on a husky tone, each word brushing against her eardrums like tiny particles. Do you want to put on some clothes? Huan instinctively looked down, her drunken mind finally realizing that she was completely unclothed, a stark contrast to the well-dressed Xiao. A short, sharp scream escaped her as she squatted down, wrapping her arms around herself. Her back arched with the movement, trembling, causing a darker shade to appear in Xiao's eyes. He picked up the suit jacket from the floor and tossed it over her shoulders, then turned his back to her to smoke. Huan draped the suit jacket over herself and squatted behind the sofa, putting on her clothes as quickly as she could. In the meantime, she tried her best to calm herself down. The Jian family had a strict and conservative upbringing, almost to a pathological extent. If this incident got out, she would have no way out. After a struggle with her thoughts, she finally spoke, regaining her composure. I hope Lord Lu can treat today's events as if they never happened. You came looking for Jingyang, right? He's not here, and it's getting late. The implication was clear, you can leave now. Huan was at a loss, wanting to quickly shake off this hot potato, but little did she know that Xiao was a man with a rebellious spirit. The more she wanted him to leave, the more he would want to stay. He wouldn't give anyone a chance to breathe, but he would never lessen the pressure on them. Seeing Huan's attempt to avoid him, Xiao not only didn't leave but also casually propped his leg up, as if he were at home. Glancing at the fresh flowers and red wine on the table, he looked back at Huan, his gaze thick with mockery. The atmosphere is nice, and you're nice too. Huan's cheeks burned as if she were a fish on a cutting board, being dissected and scrutinized by the diners. Xiao's words reminded her of the circumstances under which her fiancé had abandoned her. Lord Lu, you've already taken advantage of me. Isn't it too much to kick me while I'm down? At that moment, Huan felt like a soft dough with a thorn sticking out, a feeble threat that only amused Xiao. Xiao suddenly laughed, the dim light in the living room accentuating his mysterious and charming silhouette. Don't act like a chaste lady. My brother is probably busy having a good time with his dear cousin, not caring about your life or death. The way he emphasized "dear cousin" sent a chill down Jian Huan's spine. She forced herself to remain calm. Jiang Ziying is Jingyan's cousin, which makes her my sister. She lost her parents when she was young, and Jingyang has taken care of her. Lu Xiao chuckled. Do you really not know, or are you pretending not to know? Jian Huan fell silent, but her ragged breaths betrayed her. Lu Xiao suddenly stood up and took a few steps closer until Jian Huan was completely enveloped in his shadow. His long fingers pressed against Jian Huan's shoulder. Since you say I've taken advantage of you, let me return the favor. Put on your outerwear, and I'll take you to sea. His magnetic, teasing voice brushed against her ear, word by word, a live spring palace. Chapter 2, Fall from Grace. In front of a uniquely designed standalone villa, Jian Huan stopped in her tracks, hesitating to move forward. Luo Xiao, who had already walked in, turned back. He stood perfectly illuminated by a beam of light, the glow highlighting his strong shoulders, the only warmth in the darkness. Are you scared? After this journey, Jian Huan's intoxication had completely worn off, along with the little spark of courage she had mustered. The Jian family would never allow her to confront Luo Jingyang openly. The family motto dictated that even if a husband brought another woman home, their wife must greet her with a smile. She was bound by too many shackles, all of which constrained her, the Luo family, the Jian family, and... Jian Huan lowered her eyes. Thank you for today, Luo Yi. Let us just end it here. Luo Xiao chuckled softly. His laughter swirled into Jian Huan's ears, stabbing her heart sharply. He wasn't in a hurry to leave either, lighting another cigarette. In the darkness, the bright red tip was pinched between his fingers. They say women from the Jian family are born to serve men, and it seems to be true. His lips were slightly thin, and the lazy way he held the cigarette showed no concern for how insulting his words were. Hey, tell me, if Luo Jingyang brings other women in front of you in the future, will you still hand him protection? Jian Huan remained silent and walked straight inside. Luo Xiao laughed, dropping the cigarette and following her. At the door, Jian Huan saw the security guard hesitate. What was she supposed to say? While she was thinking, the mixed scent of tobacco and greenery wrapped around her from behind. Open the door. The security guard glanced at Luo Xiao, not daring to ask a word, and opened it directly. After a brief surprise, Jian Huan realized the standing of this Luo Yi in the Luo family. She vaguely remembered Luo Jingyang warning her about the two most dangerous figures in the Luo family, aside from the old man, Luo Xiao. If she had to rank them, Luo Xiao was even more dangerous. With the old man, as long as you didn't offend him, you were safe. But with Luo Xiao, it didn't matter whether you offended him or not, you were never safe. The villa was brightly lit, and ambiguous moans leaked out from the bedroom. The door was slightly ajar. From Jian Huan's angle, she could see the overlapping figures inside. Doubt was one thing, but seeing it with her own eyes was another. Ziying, I love you to death, I'd be willing to die on you. Woo woo. Cousin, I'm sorry. I know you're going to share a room with my cousin tonight, but I really love you too much to watch you have children with her. I know you've suffered. Don't worry if you don't like it, I'll let Jian Huan be a surrogate. Once she has the child, no one will interfere with us. Jiang Ziying stiffened. In fact, they had no blood relation, but this secret was something she couldn't reveal. The people inside were too engrossed to notice anyone had come in. Jian Huan's mind went boom, and the string of reason in her head snapped completely. As she sat in Luo Xiao's car, those words echoed repeatedly in her mind. Until Luo Xiao's phone rang, and she slowly regained her composure. Luo Xiao leaned against the driver's seat, lazily responding to a few words. After hanging up, he glanced at Jian Huan, who was still sitting in the passenger seat. He had wanted to see a scene of betrayal but was surprised that she just turned around and walked away in that situation. Boring. Losing interest, Luo Xiao's demeanor grew colder as he looked at Jian Huan. Did you really think of me as your chauffeur? Get out. Everyone said that Luo Xiao was unpredictable, and today Jian Huan finally experienced it herself. Jian Huan didn't move, not knowing what she was thinking. Luo Xiao narrowed his eyes. Anyone familiar with him knew that this was a sign of his anger. His thin lips parted, ready to spit out something even more insulting, but Jian Huan interrupted him. Her delicate white hand grasped his collar, her disheveled breath brushing against his face like feathers. Luo Xiao raised an eyebrow, pausing for a few seconds before forcefully shaking her off. Jian Huan was thrown against the car door, letting out a painful groan. Luo Xiao glanced at his wrinkled shirt where she had grabbed him, a half-smile on his face. "Are you trying to use me to get back at Luo Jingyang? Sleeping with you isn't a big deal, but I'm not interested right now." Jian Huan fell silent for a moment. "I'm from the Jian family, and no woman from the Jian family has ever been touched by a man other than her husband." Not only had they never been touched by a man, but the girls in the Jian family also went to all girls' schools. They wouldn't be alone with any man, except for family. Even though it was modern society, they were like women from ancient times, adhering to the old moral values. Rumor had it that the Jian family even offered courses on how to please men. Believe it or not, Jian Huan's words genuinely piqued Luo Xiao's interest. He loved breaking rules and watching those hypocritical people tear off their false masks due to hatred and desire. Jian Huan's words struck a chord with Luo Xiao unexpectedly. This woman understood human nature. While Luo Xiao was pondering, Jian Huan threw out another line. "Since we only went halfway earlier, are you not interested in the first time?" Suddenly, a thunderclap echoed outside. Sparse raindrops began to patter on the car roof, the soft sound echoing inside the vehicle. The woman was pressed against the steering wheel, her vertically striped shirt torn open, the straight lines becoming crooked. Hearing the sound of a belt being unbuckled, the woman grasped his wrist. "Don't, not here." Luo Xiao leaned close to Jian Huan's ear, maliciously stating, "You have no choice." The heavy rain drowned out her screams. Rainwater washed against the car windows, trickling down the car walls, pooling on the ground. The Bugatti, well equipped for shock absorption, now rocked like a tree caught in a storm. Outside the car was cool and damp, while inside it was hot and stifling. In the enclosed space, they breathed each other's exhaled breaths. Luo Xiao enjoyed the look of pain on Jian Huan's face. Her brows and eyes became vivid from the sound of her cry, her slightly parted lips taking on an enticing quality. In fact, Jian Huan was very striking, especially her full lips, which were easily addictive to bite. But as a woman, Jian Huan was too bland, neither charming nor lively, like a glass of plain water devoid of any interest. Now, this plain water was muddied and darkened by his hands, and Luo Xiao felt an unusual thrill. His already wild nature grew even more unruly. He showed no mercy towards Jian Huan, even though it was her first time. When it ended, Jian Huan felt as if she had died once. She leaned against the backseat, panting, while Luo Xiao beside her unbuttoned his collar and lit a cigarette. He finally showed some consideration, not immediately kicking her out of the car, allowing her to rest inside. The smell of smoke mixed with the scent in the car, suffocating Jian Huan. She opened the window, and the damp, cool air rushed in, making her shiver. She raised her hand to catch the raindrops, noticing a ring of bruises on her delicate wrist. Ding! Jian Huan's phone rang. Upon seeing the name on the screen, her scalp tingled. Why was Luo Jingyang calling her? Could it be? As soon as the call connected, an angry voice came through. "Where are you? Who are you with?" Jian Huan instinctively looked out the window. Chapter 3, Guilty Conscience. Outside, it was pitch black, and a torrential rain was pouring down. There wasn't a soul in sight, not even a ghost. Jian Huan slowly realized that it was irrational for Lu Jingyang to be interested in tracking her. Her guilty conscience was getting the better of her. Just as she was about to respond, a large hand reached over from the side and ended the call. Furrowing her brow, Jian Huan didn't have time to ask Lu Xiao what he was doing before he grabbed her chin and blew a puff of smoke into her mouth. Cough, cough, cough. Jian Huan couldn't stop coughing. Lu Xiao watched her pale face turn rosy from their violent coughing, and he nodded with satisfaction. This was much more pleasing to the eye. At that moment, a text message from Lu Jingyang came through. Lu Jingyang. Who gave you the audacity to hang up on me? Where are you? I'll give you 20 minutes to get back here, or I'll inform the Jian family to bring you back. Had Lu Jingyang already returned home? Wasn't he usually indifferent to what she did? Why was he so angry this time? Jian Huan sensed something was off. Ignoring the burning sensation in her throat, she reached for the car door, intending to get out. But Lu Xiao pulled her back by the waist. Where do you think you're going? I need to go back. She couldn't afford to confront Lu Jingyang, at least not right now. Hearing her words, Lu Xiao raised his eyebrows slightly, assessing her. You plan to go back looking like you just slept with me? Huan followed his gaze, looking down at herself. Her clothes were wrinkled, like a crumpled rag, and worst of all were the kiss marks and bruises on her skin. If Lu Jingyang saw her like this, the consequences would be unimaginable. Can you take me to the nearest mall? In the end, he ended up playing the driver. When they arrived at the mall, Lu Xiao didn't move. Huan, realizing the situation, opened the car door to get out on her own. Her legs weakened, and she almost collapsed to the ground. Lu Xiao didn't get out to help instead, he rolled down the window and watched her with an amused expression. Under the bright lights of the shopping street, Huan's wrinkled clothes became even more embarrassing. Tentatively, she asked, "Can you lend me a jacket?" Lu Xiao smiled, his charm undeniable. When he smiled, it was devilishly alluring. But when he spoke, his words were filled with malice. "Didn't I already give you my jacket?" Huan paused, feeling a chill run through her. That time at Lu Jingyang's house, he had tossed his jacket to her. This meant that the men's jacket was still at Lu Jingyang's place. Seeing her expression filled with dread, Lu Xiao laughed heartily. "Darling, no need to thank me." Cough, cough, cough. The unpleasant smell of car exhaust almost made Huan curse. But the situation wouldn't allow her any delays. Lowering her head to cover the bruise on her neck with her long hair, she steeled herself and walked into the mall to buy some clothes. In the speeding car, Lu Xiao's lips curled slightly. Even the voice on the phone carried an unexpected laziness. "Speak." On the other end, a male voice sounded exasperated. "I've been waiting for you for over 4 hours. We've prepared everything for you to drink and have fun. Are you coming tonight or not? Just give me a straight answer." Lu Xiao glanced at his watch, surprised that he had spent so much time with Huan. "Not going. I'm full." Hearing this, Hanzong pushed the person in his arms away and found a quieter spot. "Who made you eat for 4 hours?" Lu Xiao casually ran a red light and replied, "The Jian family." "Damn." Hanzong's tone suddenly rose. "Are you serious? Did you drug her?" Lu Xiao laughed and cursed, "Get lost. Do you think I'm that kid from the Jiang family?" Previously, the young master of the Jiang family had made a bet to win over the second miss of the Jian family in a month, offering houses, cars, and even yachts, but he still couldn't get close. Later, out of frustration, that young master resorted to drugging her. Unexpectedly, the second miss of the Jian family would rather die than succumb and jumped off the 3rd floor, breaking a leg. This incident spread like wildfire in the circles, mocking the Jiang young master, and it was jokingly said that the girls from the Jian family were practically chastity belts, no one could get close to them. So when Hanzong heard that Lu Xiao had a fling with a woman from the Jian family, he was understandably shocked. "Which one from the Jian family? It won't be the second miss, would it? Or the 4th miss?" "No, the 4th miss is engaged to Lu Jingyang, right? Guess for yourself." "I'm hanging up." Hey. Brother, you're my real brother. Don't hang up yet." Hanzong knew he wouldn't get a straight answer, but his curiosity was piqued, so he asked, "How much did you give her?" "Give her what?" "Money, jewelry, what else?" Lu Xiao thought seriously for a moment. "A big trouble, does that count?" "Hanzong." An expensive suit was thrown to the floor and trampled hard. "You shameless bitch. Bringing a man home. Do you think I'm dead?" Lu Jingyang, although he didn't like Huan, would not tolerate her betrayal. Jiang Ziying's lips curled up uncontrollably. It was her suggestion that Lu Jingyang bring her back to apologize. Originally, she wanted to provoke Huan, but she didn't expect to get such a reward. She wrapped her arm around Lu Jingyang's, sweetly comforting him. "Cousin, don't be angry yet. Maybe it's just your wife's friend who left something behind." Jiang Ziying glanced at the clock, worry etched on her face. "But it's so late, and she still hasn't come back. She just hung up on our call. What if something dangerous has happened?" "What danger could there be? That shameless woman must be messing around with some random guy." Just as those words fell, the door opened. More than an hour had passed since Lu Jingyang made the phone call. "Cousin, you finally made it back. We were so worried about you." Jiang Ziying sweetly smiled and linked her arm with Jian Huan's, just like before. Jiang Ziying was sweet and charming, always calling her cousin, even though she was willing to cling to Lu Jingyang. Jian Huan only regarded her as a little sister who loved to be close. But now, seeing her reminded Jian Huan of the scene where she was entangled with Lu Jingyang, naked. The arm that linked her was the same one that had just a few hours ago been wrapped around her dear cousin's back, coaxing him sweetly. Just thinking about that made Jian Huan shiver. She pushed Jiang Ziying away without hesitation. I'm back. Jiang Ziying was taken aback by the push, but then was startled by the coldness in Jian Huan's eyes. She said pitifully, "Cousin, are you mad at me for calling cousin away? I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to. I slipped in the bathroom and had no choice but to call him. Cousin, please don't be angry." Jian Huan smiled sarcastically. "It's fine. Who told you two are cousins?" An outer garment was thrown over her head. "It's my duty to take care of my cousin. Who are you to say it's fine? You need to explain to me what this is." The familiar scent on the coat enveloped her as she pulled it over her head, and in an instant, it felt like she was back inside the enclosed car. Several fragments flashed in her mind, and Jian Huan's ears suddenly turned hot. In a panic, she tore it off. Lu Jingyang's furious face was now inches away from hers, pointing a finger at Jian Huan's nose. "You damn." In the middle of his curse, he suddenly froze, staring at Jian Huan with suspicion. Under Lu Jingyang's scrutinizing gaze, Jian Huan's heart raced. Before she entered the room, she had checked those marks had all been covered by her clothes. Could it be that something was overlooked? Chapter 4, Who is that wild man? Luo Jingyang stared at Jian Huan, feeling a sense of oddity. Today, Jian Huan seemed different from her usual self. Her face was a standard classical beauty, beautiful, yes, but devoid of any soul. Her eyes were dull, lacking in expression, often lost in thought, emanating a sense of sluggishness from within. Compared to the perceptive Jiang Ziying, she seemed like a block of wood. But right now, Jian Huan stood there, her eyes glimmering and her lips crimson. Most importantly, she inadvertently revealed a hint of seduction. Though her body was tightly wrapped in that green turtleneck knitted dress, he felt an inexplicable restlessness. The more he looked, the angrier he became. He raised his hand and slapped her, shouting, "Speak! Who the hell are you dressing up like this to meet? Some wild man?" Caught off guard, Jian Huan received a sharp slap, the imprint of fingers appearing on her fair cheek. She didn't touch her stinging face, instead replying expressionlessly, "Didn't you say that a woman like me wouldn't attract a glance even if she lay naked on the street? So why should it matter how I dress? How dare you talk back? Where did the rules of the Jian family go?" Luo Jingyang raised his hand again, but Jiang Ziying anxiously tugged at him, "Cousin." Upon meeting her gaze, Luo Jingyang realized something was off. This statement was what he had just said to Jiang Ziying in bed. How could Jian Huan know? "You've been following me." Jian Huan smiled, "I don't know what you're talking about, but I think some things are better left unsaid. We both know the truth, don't we?" "Say that again." Jian Huan glanced at Jiang Ziying. "I heard that your mother has been looking for marriage candidates for cousin Ziying recently. A girl's reputation is the most important thing." Jiang Ziying shrank back, helplessly pulling at Luo Jingyang's arm. "Cousin, I'm scared." Luo Jingyang glared at Jian Huan like a wolf, wishing he could tear her to shreds. How had he never noticed how treacherous this woman was, threatening him like this? Truly, a dog that can bite never barks. If he weren't afraid of rumors affecting Ziying, he would have thrown this woman out. Seeing Luo Jingyang's restrained fury, Jian Huan walked upstairs on her own. "Stop!" Luo Jingyang roared from below, "Whose suit is this?" On the steps, Jian Huan looked down at him, her previous submissiveness gone, her tone cold. "It doesn't matter whose it is, what matters is how you feel right now." Luo Jingyang was taken aback. "Did you deliberately leave this suit for me to misunderstand?" Jian Huan didn't explain, but Luo Jingyang felt he had seen through her. That's why. Jian Huan wouldn't have the guts to hook up with a wild man. She must have stumbled upon his affair with Ziying and was trying to attract his attention. This realization oddly lifted Luo Jingyang's mood. But Jiang Ziying noticed Jian Huan's awkward way of walking and the excessive femininity she now exhibited, feeling something was off. She picked up the suit again and scrutinized it. "Cousin, why do I feel like this suit doesn't belong to cousin Huan? But enough. Luo Jingyang interrupted her confidently, you know how much Jian Huan loves me. Besides, you know what the Jian family is like. If she really had a wandering heart, the Jian family wouldn't need me to act. They would take care of it themselves. She wouldn't dare. Seeing Luo Jingyang so self-assured, Jiang Ziyin didn't argue further. She glanced at the closed door upstairs, her suspicions growing. Ever since Jian Huan was released from the hospital 6 months ago after a serious illness, she had felt something was off about her. She had become a lot more dull and was different with Luo Jingyang than before. Especially just now, Jian Huan had suddenly exuded a fierce aura that was entirely unlike the Jian Huan she knew. Could a person's character change that drastically? And tonight, even though Luo Jingyang believed her, she couldn't shake the feeling that Jian Huan looked as if she had been cherished by a man. Letting her off so easily didn't sit well with Jiang Ziyin. She clung to Luo Jingyang's arm, feigning tears. Cousin Huan just threatened to reveal our affair. I'm so worried it will damage your reputation. Maybe we should just stop seeing each other. Hearing this, Luo Jingyang quickly held her tightly, soothing her, don't say that. Just ignore her. Someone will teach her a lesson. You mean? The Jian family won't allow her to make a scene. The next morning, in the Jian family's living room, a woman was kneeling, a long wooden stick harshly striking her back. The stick was tough, causing excruciating pain and numbness. It didn't take long for blood to seep out. Once, then again. Just as Jian Huan felt her back was losing all sensation, the woman sitting on the sofa lightly raised her hand. Stop. Gasping for breath, Jian Huan loosened her clenched jaw, swallowing the coppery taste in her mouth. The woman looked at the sweat-drenched Jian Huan, her expression calm. Do you know where you went wrong? Jian Huan replied, her voice hoarse, I know, mother. I shouldn't have disobeyed my husband. Jian Lihua sneered, you must remember, your every action represents the Jian family's reputation. The Jian family has worked hard for decades. If you ruin it all by yourself, do you know what will happen? As punishment, you will kneel here for the whole morning. And this month, you are not allowed to go to the secondary courtyard. Jian Huan's expression changed, Madam Jian. Cough. Jian Huan corrected herself, Mother, I didn't go to see them last month because of the engagement. I'm really worried. Please let me go see them. On the sofa, Jian Lihua brushed her black velvet gown and, with a meticulously groomed hairline, her face appeared stern and cold. You should know that if it weren't for your resemblance to my daughter, I wouldn't need you to stand in for her in marrying into the Luo family. Your family would have long been dead in Haicheng. Jian Huan remained silent. Yes, she was not the real fourth Miss Jian. The real fourth Miss Jian was terminally ill and near death. But the Jian family didn't want to give up the opportunity to ally with the Luo family, so they brought her, this counterfeit, back. In exchange, Jian Lihua avoided their enemies and moved their family from Haicheng to the capital. The price was that she had to live her life as the fourth Miss Jian, at the mercy of the Jian family. Jian Huan had once thought the Jian family was her lifeline, but from everything she had seen and heard in the past 6 months, she felt as if she had moved from one hell to another. It was too late for regrets now. As she was forced down, Jian Huan's back bent, her head lowered, unable to see her expression. Yes, mother. After kneeling for the entire morning, when Jian Huan left the Jian family, her knees were painfully numb, and every step was excruciating. But she had no time to rest. There was a family banquet at the Luo family tonight, and it was her first official entrance into the Luo family mansion. She needed to arrive early to help with the preparations. She intended to drive herself, but her knees hurt too much. Not just her knees, the previous day's torment had left her lower body feeling numb, causing a peculiar throbbing pain whenever she moved. Jian Huan smiled self-deprecatingly. She had merely disobeyed Luo Jingyang, and now she was punished like this. If Jian Lihua found out what she had done with Luo Xiao, she would probably beat her to death. Chapter 5, Don't you recognize me anymore? Jian Huan was not a child raised in the Jian family. She had grown up under the oppressive education of a patriarchal society. The thought of her fiancé sleeping with someone else made her feel genuinely disgusted, and she could never bring herself to flatter him again. Her impulsive encounter with Luo Xiao yesterday was more than just a whim. It was a desperate attempt to find a shield of protection. In case things went awry one day, at least Luo Xiao could help her because of this fleeting romance. Little did she know that this shield not only had holes but also let in rain. Just thinking about the jacket he left behind made Jian Huan's heart ache with anger. For the past 6 months, she had been mimicking the actions and behaviors of the real Miss Jian Sai, terrified of making a mistake, speaking less, and even avoiding eye contact. If it weren't for her encounter with Luo Xiao yesterday, she would have been prepared to hide in this false shell for the rest of her life. But Luo Xiao had literally yanked her out of her tortoise shell. Taking a deep breath, Jian Huan straightened up. Even if she had to live as a counterfeit forever, she couldn't just let herself be at the mercy of others. But Luo Xiao was too dangerous, it was best not to provoke him any further. She couldn't afford to lose the strength she was seeking and end up in deeper trouble instead. At the Luo family mansion, Jian Huan was arranging the dining table with several servants, setting out wine glasses. Just as she was about to place a wide-mouthed glass on the main seat, a hand stopped her. "We're not drinking red wine today, setting out Bordeaux glasses will get us scolded." Jian Huan looked up to see a gentle-looking woman smiling warmly, making her feel an instant sense of familiarity. The woman introduced herself naturally. "I'm Yunjing, you can just call me elder sister-in-law." Elder sister-in-law. Yunjing asked someone to bring over Louis XIII glasses and started arranging them with Jian Huan. During this time, Jian Huan sensed a subtle gaze on her. Looking up, she saw Jiang Ziying, who was chatting intimately with Luo Jingyang's mother, her aunt Jiang Yarlian, occasionally pointing in Jian Huan's direction. Jian Huan suddenly recalled that Jiang Ziying had just left the kitchen when she went to grab the glasses. It seemed someone was deliberately trying to make her look foolish. Yunjing noticed her gaze and smiled. Ziying has grown up beside Uncle Wu, and Aunt Jingyang dotes on her like a real sister. Jian Huan's lips curled up. A sister? What about the sister who's been to bed with her? But these sordid matters were not worth mentioning to outsiders, so she just smiled and continued with her work. When everyone had taken their seats, the old master Luo was helped to the main seat by the servants. As soon as he sat down, the dining table fell silent. He looked around and asked, "Where is Luo Xiao?" Upon hearing Luo Xiao's name, Jian Huan felt uneasy and shifted slightly, drawing a sharp glance from Luo Jingyang beside her. The man in the wheelchair on Jian Huan's right chuckled. "Our second brother is not someone we can call. Why don't you invite him yourself, Grandpa?" The old master's expression darkened immediately, his lowered eyelids revealing a gloomy aura. "This wretch." As soon as he finished speaking, a mocking voice rang out. "Oh, old master, speaking ill of people behind their backs will surely shorten your lifespan." Luo Xiao strode in through the door, towering nearly 6 feet tall, exuding an overwhelming presence. Today, during this family banquet, everyone was being cautious, subtly flattering the old master. Hearing this shocking remark, Jian Huan nearly choked on the water she had just sipped. Her coughing fit drew Luo Jingyang's intense displeasure. He lowered his voice, saying, "What kind of eyes are you making?" By the time Jian Huan took another sip of water, Luo Xiao had carelessly pulled out the only empty chair at the table. Unlike everyone else's tense posture, he lounged casually, his gaze resting on Jian Huan for a few seconds before returning to the old master. The old master's expression was incredibly grim, and everyone thought he was about to explode with anger, but surprisingly, he held back. "Where have you been to arrive so late?" Luo Xiao took a sip of the wine on the table. "Where did I go? Let me think." His gaze swept across the man in the wheelchair opposite him. "I just dealt with a backstabbing fool. He was ordered to spy on me, so I had to gouge out his eyes. I stuck a dagger into his eye socket and twisted it around. Blood spurted out, and I got it all over my hands." He described the scene vividly, his eyes glinting with a bloodthirsty light. "Shut up!" the old master barked. Everyone at the table wore disgusted expressions, and the women covered their mouths with their napkins, looking like they were about to vomit. Luo Xiao's gaze was mocking, his tone scornful. Each of these people had probably engaged in countless filthy deeds themselves, yet they wore these pious expressions. In the midst of the disdainful or fearful glances, only one pair of eyes remained detached, as if watching the chaos unfold from a distance. Luo Xiao looked at Jian Huan with interest and raised his glass toward her. His casual action sent a shiver down Jian Huan's spine. In the next moment, all eyes turned toward her, even the old master looked over. The old master's chilly gaze bore down on Jian Huan, pressing down on her so hard that she could hardly breathe. Her heart raced, pounding in her chest as if it might leap out of her throat. Just when she was feeling lost, Luo Jingyang stood up beside her, tentatively raising his glass and forcing a stiff smile. "Second brother." It was no wonder Luo Jingyang was confused. Luo Xiao usually looked down on everyone, so how could he toast to someone like Jian Huan, who belonged to a less prominent family? Moreover, in the context of a large family, the Jian family, known for consolidating their status through marriage, was hardly respectable. As Luo Jingyang stood, he blocked Luo Xiao's line of sight. Not daring to wait for Luo Xiao, he downed a glass in one go. Huan, hiding behind him, let out a heavy sigh of relief. Her chest felt tight and painful. Just as she managed to catch her breath, Luo Xiao's voice rang out again, "Sister-in-law, don't you recognize me anymore?" Huan's heart dropped entirely. She regretted provoking this devil of a man, Luo Xiao. There was no way to avoid it. She could only stand up alongside Luo Jingyang, raise her glass, and put on a facade of calmness. "Luo Yi." Now even Luo Jingyang was stunned. Huan knew Luo Xiao. Even the old master had to use a family banquet as an excuse to see Luo Xiao. How could she possibly have that kind of power? Huan faced the probing gazes from all directions, forcing herself to maintain a calm demeanor. She couldn't show any signs of guilt. The more she felt guilty, the easier it would be for others to see through her. Besides, everyone at this table was shrewd. Even the slightest crack would be exploited. The old master looked suspiciously at Luo Xiao and asked, "Do you two know each other?" Huan dared not show any excess emotion. To keep calm, she gripped her wine glass so tightly that her knuckles turned white, almost crushing the narrow rim of the glass. If it were anyone else, she wouldn't worry about them revealing their sordid affair. But this was Luo Xiao. The more chaos there was, the happier he seemed to be. Unfortunately, it was too late for regrets now. She could only pray in her heart that Luo Xiao would behave for once and leave her a way out. Chapter 6, How do you know Second Master Lu? Lu Xiao glanced at Huan. The phrase, "slept with," almost escaped his lips. "I've met her." Huan felt as if she had been resurrected, the shock almost overwhelming. At the main table, old Master Lu was filled with suspicion. He clearly didn't think that merely meeting her would compel Lu Xiao to lower himself to toast her. With sharp eyes concealed beneath heavy eyelids, he asked, "Jingyang's fiancé?" Huan lowered her head, "Yes." "Come over and pour the wine." Pouring wine for the old master was a significant honor. Even Lu Jingyang was a bit excited and urged in a low voice, "Serve the old master well. If you mess up, I'll make you pay." Huan felt uneasy, worried that the old master might discover something. She walked around to the back of old Master Lu and took the wine from a servant. "Please enjoy." Old Master Lu did not take it, staring at her with a cold expression. Huan's wrist felt sore, and she didn't dare to move, maintaining her bent posture with a respectful expression. Across from her, Lu Xiao looked at her tightly clenched bottom with an ambiguous smile. It wasn't until Huan's hands trembled slightly that old Master Lu said flatly, "I didn't attend your engagement with Jingyang. There's a painting of winter plum blossoms in the study. I'll give it to you as a wedding gift." Before Huan could respond, Lu Jingyang's face flushed with excitement. "Thank you, Grandpa." The gift itself was secondary. The key was the honor of receiving it from the old master. Lu Jingyang thought proudly that perhaps the old master had recognized his talents and intended to promote him. During the latter part of the family dinner, Huan kept her head down, not wanting to attract any attention. In the meantime, a distant uncle mentioned the vacancy for the CEO position at Lu's, subtly testing old Master Lu. Old Master Lu took a sip of kanji. Family dinners should not discuss business matters. The uncle hit a wall and closed his mouth awkwardly. To avoid awkwardness, someone chimed in, "I heard the young lady from the Gong family has moved from Haicheng to Beijing. It seems she's interested in marrying into a wealthy family here." "Is the Gong family's base in Haicheng? Why would they come to Beijing to marry?" Huan could no longer hear the rest. The mere mention of the Gong family sent chills down her spine. That dark moment she had deliberately forgotten surged back in an instant. She fought to suppress her fear, reassuring herself that Miss Gong had never seen her. As long as that person didn't show up, she would be safe. Huan's fleeting discomfort did not escape Lu Xiao's keen eyes. Upon hearing the Gong family name, her expression resembled that of a mouse seeing a cat. Lu Xiao's interest peaked. It seemed this little sister-in-law was more intriguing than he had imagined. Thanks to Lu Xiao, who had initially been an invisible presence, Huan became the center of attention after the banquet ended. As soon as Lu Xiao was summoned to the study by old Master Lu, she was surrounded. Those engaging her were subtly probing about how she knew Lu Xiao and what their relationship was like. Huan could only come up with a vague excuse, saying she had met him at the banquet. Auntie is amazing. So many people have met Second Master, but you're the only one who can speak to him and even have him remember you. How did you do that? Jiang Ziying's expression was innocent, as if she were genuinely curious, but her heart was filled with malice. Originally, she had hoped to embarrass Jian Huan with her cup, but it not only failed but also made Jian Huan look good in front of the old master. As for Second Master Lu, what kind of person was he? How could someone like Jian Huan earn his attention? Even she. This was a bitter pill for Jiang Ziying to swallow. Unbeknownst to Lu Jingyang, who followed Jiang Ziying's lead, he encouraged her, "Stop keeping us in suspense, just answer whatever they ask." Jian Huan sneered inwardly. If she answered truthfully, it would certainly stir up chaos at Lu's house today. Well, originally, Second Master and I didn't have much to talk about, but someone reminded him that I'm Jingyang's fiancé. Considering Jingyang, he chatted with me for a bit, and that's how we got to know each other. Really? Lu Jingyang was filled with joy, not expecting that both the old master and Lu Xiao would think so highly of him. He was lost in his thoughts, completely unaware of the skepticism surrounding him. Among them was Jiang Ziying. Lu Xiao didn't even show respect to old master Lu. How could he possibly care about Lu Jingyang? But if it weren't for Lu Jingyang, how would Jian Huan have crossed paths with Lu Xiao? Jiang Ziying's mind unwittingly recalled how awkwardly Jian Huan had walked when she returned last night. Could it be that she had some untold secrets with Lu Xiao? Startled by her own thoughts, she instinctively dismissed the idea. But other than romantic entanglements, she could think of no other reason why Jian Huan would have court Lu Xiao's attention. Meanwhile, in the study. "Did you secure that land in Donglin?" Lu Xiao replied casually, "Millimeter." Old Master Lu's gaze deepened. "Can you handle it?" "I've always had a good appetite." Tension simmered, but ultimately, old Master Lu relented. "Lu Xiao, you are a member of the Lu family. Now that I'm getting old, the position of heir is vacant. You should think more about the Lu family." This remark was insinuating, yet it bore no promise upon closer inspection. Lu Xiao wore a smile tinged with sarcasm, dangling a piece of meat in front of him as if to make him follow the scent. Lu Xiao's expression was so mocking that old Master Lu uneasily shifted the topic. "What you said earlier about knowing someone from the Jian family, what's the connection?" "Jian family women," Lu Xiao replied, his tongue flicking against his cheek, "look pretty easy to bed." "Enough nonsense." Old Master Lu snapped. However, because of Lu Xiao's frivolous demeanor, old Master Lu assumed he was merely interested in the Jian family name and no longer pursued the matter. Those deals the Jian family makes behind the scenes aren't presentable. If you genuinely wish to settle down, I can have your older brother and sister-in-law help you find someone suitable. Old Master Lu paused. "What do you think of the Gong family's young lady?" "Pretty good." Lu Xiao's eagerness caught old Master Lu off guard, but Lu Xiao's next line was unexpected. "Perfect timing, you've got a vacancy by your side. I'll go have a word with her and ask her to be my grandmother." A loud reprimand echoed through the study, "Get lost." Old Master Lu was extremely shrewd and rarely showed his emotions, but Lu Xiao's words had clearly provoked his fury. Feeling relieved, Lu Xiao hummed a tune as he left the room. Second brother. Turning around, he saw the man in a wheelchair in the hallway looking at him with a bright smile. Lu Xiao's expression darkened slightly before he smiled again. "Isn't he this my good elder brother?" "What? Did you switch out the people who monitor me?" Lu Cheng replied with a tone of resignation, as if facing a mischievous younger brother. "Second brother, don't say such things. If Grandpa hears, he'll get angry again." "Then isn't he that exactly what you want?" "Sigh, forget it. You've misunderstood me for quite some time. I won't explain it anymore. I came to ask whether you'll stay in the side courtyard or the bamboo garden tonight, so I can send someone to prepare." "Who said I'm staying?" "Tomorrow is the memorial day for our second uncle and second aunt. Grandpa has arranged for an altar at home to pay tribute. As their only son, if you're not there, they might not rest in peace." Lu Xiao chuckled, "To keep me here, you're even bringing up the dead." Lu Cheng smiled. "Filial piety comes first among all virtues." Lu Xiao licked his lips, his eyes gleaming with a predatory glint. "All right, I'll stay." Chapter 7, Assassination. "We'll stay at the mansion tonight." Jian Huan paused while putting on her outer coat. "Why?" Luo Jingyang, recalling Jian Huan's decent performance today, reluctantly explained, "Grandpa gave us such a big gift. My parents asked me to stay for a couple of days to get closer to him at 1T Hurt." While Luo Jingyang was busy texting, his gaze softened at the phone screen, but when he looked up, he wore an impatient expression. "All right, I have other things to do. You can head to the Maiyuan first." The Luo family mansion consisted of the main courtyard where Old Master Luo resided, and two side courtyards named Mailan and Zhuyuan. The southern and northern side courtyards were closest to the main courtyard currently. Only the eldest son, Luo Cheng, lived in the southern side courtyard. Meanwhile, the fifth room, Luo Jingyang's family, resided in Maiyuan. As Jian Huan was led by the maid to Maiyuan, she noticed that the Zhuyuan had people coming and going through a small garden. She casually asked, "Isn't Zhuyuan unoccupied?" "Back to fifth young mistress, second young master is staying at the mansion tonight, he's in there." Jian Huan stiffened. Having been startled by Luo Xiao several times, she was now somewhat on edge at the mention of his name. "Fifth young mistress?" Jian Huan regained her composure. "It's fine, you go ahead." "Yes." After the maid left, Jian Huan gazed at Zhuyuan. As long as she stayed in Maiyuan for one night, there should be no unexpected occurrences. What? The security guard resigned. Jiang Ziyin was puzzled when she received the call. Did he say why? Well, I'm not quite sure. He just said he was returning to his hometown and left without even taking his salary. Jiang Ziyin was baffled. Why would he resign out of the blue? She glanced at the handbag she was carrying, which contained the suit from last night. She had looked up the brand on it yesterday, and it was exorbitantly expensive, not the typical market stuff but a high-end custom piece. Adding in the inexplicable resignation of the security guard only strengthened her suspicion. This suit wasn't left behind by Jian Huan as she claimed, but was definitely left by a man. Without hesitation, she took a picture of the suit and sent it to a friend who worked in a clothing brand, asking her to investigate who bought it. Her friend promised to get back to her in 3 days. Jiang Ziyin suddenly felt a surge of excitement. If she could confirm that Jian Huan was involved with another man, then Jian Huan would be at her mercy in the future. What are you thinking about? Jiang Ziyin was so lost in her thoughts that she didn't even notice Luo Jingyang entering. Cousin, you scared me. Don't be afraid. I'm just here to comfort you. Luo Jingyang picked her up and started to grope her through her clothes. Jiang Ziyin giggled and dodged, pouting, "Sister-in-law is waiting for you in your room, you're here having a private meeting with me. Aren't you afraid she'll find out? What would happen if she knew? What man only has one woman? She comes from the Jian family, she should understand that." Jiang Ziyin pouted, "Then would my cousin be satisfied with me alone?" Luo Jingyang continued to tease her. "If you serve me well, then I'll only want you. Cousin, you're so naughty tilde." Jiang Ziyin had always been uninhibited on the bed, and they played around until late at night, leaving Luo Jingyang in high spirits. After Jian Huan finished her shower, she found Luo Jingyang in the room and quickly turned her back to him. If he looked at her for just a moment longer, he would notice the traces of another man on her body. Ironically, Luo Jingyang was busy flirting with his cousin on the other side of the wall, completely ignoring Jian Huan. Jian Huan tightened her collar to hide her neck, then turned around with a cold tone. "How did you get in?" Luo Jingyang looked up in dissatisfaction. When he saw the guarded expression on Jian Huan's face, he felt an increase in irritation. What's with this act? Didn't she beg him to sleep with her yesterday? Now she is putting on this virtuous maiden act for whom? This is my house. Do I need to report my whereabouts to you? Do you think I want to sleep in the same room as you? If I weren't afraid of being gossiped about, I wouldn't even bother to look at you. Luo Jingyang was unaware that beneath his anger lay some discontent towards Jian Huan's cold demeanor. Did she really think she could give him that look just because she caught him with Ziyin? Absolutely unreasonable. He didn't even question her for following him. Moreover, what man isn't a bit of a playboy? Ziyin is still his cousin, they're all family. What is there to be unacceptable? He thought this in his mind, and he also verbalized it. Hearing his flawed logic, Jian Huan looked at him with a faint smile. Is it acceptable just because you're family? Of course. Luo Jingyang spoke with confidence, cousin is still family. Jian Huan replied with deep meaning, oh, is that so? Then please remember what you said today. The two parted in a quarrel, with Luo Jingyang slamming the door behind him. No need to ask, he must have gone to his cousin's room. Jian Huan felt relaxed. After drying her hair, she lay down on the bed, only to feel a sharp pain in her back. She glanced in the mirror, her back was wet and starting to ooze blood. If she didn't deal with it soon, it would surely fester by tomorrow. Jian Huan put on her outer coat and headed downstairs to find a first aid kit. She wasn't familiar with Mai Yuan and walked around the living room but couldn't find it, so she planned to ask a servant outside. The night was deep and cool, and as soon as Jian Huan stepped outside the small building, she shivered. The slippers crunched on the gravel path, the tiny stones digging into the gaps of the slippers. It was so quiet around that she could hear the wind blowing, and suddenly a wave of unease washed over Jian Huan. When she had arrived during the day, the Luo family mansion had been bustling with people and strictly guarded. How was it that now, not a single shadow could be seen? Just as she was thinking this, she suddenly heard footsteps approaching from a distance. Her body reacted faster than her brain, and she quickly hid behind the moon gate, where there was a stone sculpture that could barely conceal her. As soon as she slipped inside, 4 or 5 unfamiliar men appeared. In the darkness, they spoke in hushed tones. Where did he go? I clearly saw him heading towards Mai Yuan. In the shadows, Jian Huan saw the black barrels of guns in their hands and quickly covered her mouth. Mai Yuan still had residence, and fearing to alert the 5th room, they simply took a quick look around before leaving. Once Mai Yuan returned to silence, Jian Huan felt weak. Only then did she realize she was drenched in cold sweat, and the wound on her back throbbed with pain from the moisture. After this scare, she had lost all interest in looking for medicine. Surviving was enough. Just as she was about to leave, she heard a noise behind her. Jian Huan's hair stood on end as she turned her head stiffly, fearing it was one of the men's accomplices. In the dark corner, a man sat on the ground, clutching his abdomen, his deep, predatory black eyes fixed on her. The moment Jian Huan saw Luo Xiao, she turned to leave without a word. Even if I'm injured, I can still kill you. His voice was laced with malice, and the murderous intent was palpable. Jian Huan resigned herself to returning, forcing a smile. Second young master, what do you need? Luo Xiao scoffed at her cowardly demeanor. Not running away. Look at what you're saying, second young master. How could I abandon you? I just wanted to find the first aid kit. Seeing how quickly this woman changed her expression, Luo Xiao found it even more amusing. Just a moment ago, she clearly wanted nothing to do with him, but now she had the nerve to come up with excuses. Her hypocrisy was amusing at this point. Come here and help me. Chapter 8, If I die, I'll take you with me. Luo Xiao's demand for support was anything but polite. He pressed most of his weight onto Jian Huan. His hand on her shoulder felt like it could crush her bones. Jian Huan understood this was Luo Xiao's punishment for her earlier attempt to escape and gritted her teeth in silence. Should I take you back to the bamboo garden? She asked. Luo Xiao countered, do you want me to die? He leaned close to her ear, his tone like a lover's whisper, don't worry, if I die today, I'll definitely take you with me. Jian Huan shivered, unable to hold back. After all, this is the Luo family mansion. How could they dare to act here? In the dim light of night, Luo Xiao's deep-set eyes were inscrutable, his voice icy. Do you think the Luo family mansion is clean? It's much dirtier here than outside. Jian Huan dared not probe into the implications of his words, cautiously guiding Luo Xiao into the small building. She initially planned to settle him in the living room, but reconsidered if someone saw them together, explanations would be difficult. So she helped him back to her room instead. Luo Xiao sprawled on the bed she had prepared, lazily raising his hand for her to help him remove his clothes. As she pulled off his outer garment, Jian Huan noticed the bloodstain on his abdomen had soaked through his shirt. You? Luo Xiao lifted his shirt with one hand, revealing a gruesome wound on his stomach, a twisted smile on his lips. The attacker was ruthless, wasn't he? The thin flesh clung to his muscles, the dark skin mixed with blood was startling. Jian Huan took a clean towel to wipe the blood around the wound. It appeared to be a deep cut from a sharp blade, bleeding profusely but not too deep. Her heart ached at the sight. We need to bandage it. I'll go find the first aid kit. As she stepped outside, anxiety washed over her, fearing another encounter with those men. Oddly enough, the mansion, which had been eerily quiet, seemed to have returned to normal. Outside the garden, she could see patrolling guards, and the servants were busy tidying up the yard. If not for the blood on her fingertips, the previous moment of crisis felt like a dream. This semblance of normalcy was even more frightening than the earlier silence. Huan felt a chill run through her. She couldn't help but wonder what role the Luo family played in all this chaos. "Madam Fifth, do you have any instructions?" A servant approached, and Huan's heart raced. The once respectful and warm face now seemed like a demon in the shadows. She steadied her voice. "Please help me find the first aid kit." The servant hesitated for a few seconds. "Are you injured? Do you need me to call the family doctor?" Huan shot her a cold glance. "I only need you to get the first aid kit." Her demeanor made the servant too afraid to ask further questions. Regardless of who wanted to kill Luo Xiao, after failing, they wouldn't dare act again. So even if they suspected something, they wouldn't do anything. As the alcohol swab touched the wound, Luo Xiao furrowed his brow momentarily before relaxing. He grasped Huan's hand, which was about to drop the swab, and with a smirk asked, "Are you trying to take revenge on me?" Huan felt embarrassed. "I have no experience." Luo Xiao laughed suggestively. "Is this your first time?" He released her and leaned back again. "All right, I'll let you practice." Though he spoke seriously, Huan found it off-putting coming from him. Adding to the awkwardness, since his injury was on his waist, her fingertips inevitably brushed against his skin while cleaning the wound. Despite having been more intimate before, the last time had been in a car, with the cover of darkness and rain. Now, under the bright lights, even the desire in his eyes was unmistakable. Huan dared not look at his body's response, painstakingly treating his wound and applying medical patches. She sat at the bedside, organizing the first aid kit. "The wound is treated, you should rest." Just as she was about to get up, a hot body enveloped her from behind. The man bit her neck, his breath warm against her sensitive ear. "There's still one place that needs attention." A flush crept up Huan's neck. She wanted to struggle but feared touching his wound. All she could manage was a weak protest, "You're injured." Luo Xiao slowly unbuttoned her shirt. "So, you need to exert a bit more strength later." Huan held down his wandering hand, her voice trembling, "Second master, last time, you helped me. This time I helped you. Can we call it even?" "That sounds fair." Thinking she had convinced him, she sighed with relief. "Our relationship isn't suitable for this. We should maintain." "Second master." Luo Xiao replied cheerfully, "I'm here." "You said it's fair." He seized her resisting hand, pinning her down. "It's fair, but why should I be fair with you? Who told you this is a fair world? Shameless. Call me that again, and I'll carry you in front of Luo Jingyang so he can see me with you." Huan was stunned into silence by Luo Xiao's malice. The man playfully patted her cheek, his demeanor flippant. "Be good." Reluctantly, Huan was drawn back into the depths of desire with Luo Xiao. Initially, she maintained some rationality, trying not to touch his wounds. But as her mind fogged and waves of heat surged through her, she forgot about everything else. Ironically, Luo Xiao noticed the injury on her back, his gaze darkening. While he didn't let her go, he made sure not to press against her back. Huan had never felt a night so long. She lost track of how many times she cried or when she fell asleep. All she remembered was Luo Xiao turning her over and tending to the wound on her back. In the morning, Huan was jolted awake by her phone ringing. Groggily, she picked it up and croaked, "Hello. Aren't you up yet? Is this on purpose? Hurry and get over here." Luo Jingyang's furious voice blasted through the phone, echoing like a megaphone. Glancing at the time, she realized it was already 8:30. She recalled the servant mentioning that the memorial would begin at 9. Dragging her aching body from the bed, she quickly got herself ready and changed into a turtleneck. When she looked back at the bed, it looked like a crime scene with stained sheets, indistinguishable as to whether the blood was hers or Luo Xiao's. Not to mention the crumpled sheets and various marks, it was enough to make anyone blush. As she pondered how to deal with the mess, someone knocked on the door. "Madam Fifth, have you gotten up?" Huan didn't dare respond, fearing the servant would barge in if she did. But staying silent wasn't an option either. Time was ticking, and 9 o'clock was approaching. Caught in a dilemma, she heard the servantess voice outside, seemingly sensing her internal struggle. "Madam Fifth, the second master sent me." At that moment, a text message popped up on her phone. Luo Xiao, room service. No need to thank me. Staring at the contact name, Huan froze. When did she save Luo Xiao's number? It was likely he had saved it after she fell asleep, meaning this servant wasn't he lying. Time was running out, and Huan set aside her embarrassment, opening the door. The servant moved quickly, seemingly oblivious to the ambiguous traces left behind, and within moments had replaced the sheets with fresh ones. The old sheets were tossed into the laundry basket, erasing all evidence of last night. Huan felt a bit of her shame dissipate. Thank you. Just as she was about to leave, the servant stopped her. Madam Fifth, this is from the second master for you. Chapter 9, How was last night? The small tube of ointment rested in the servant's hand, designed to soothe redness and inflammation. Feeling the heat rise to her ears as she saw where it was meant to be applied, Huan couldn't shake off the warmth even as she reached the front hall. Despite it being just a family memorial service, the arrangements were quite elaborate. Among the yellow and white floral arrangements stood two black and white photos of Luo Xiao's parents. The Luo family had never officially responded to the cause of their deaths, though rumors suggested they had fallen victim to a riot while abroad. As soon as Huan stood still, she caught the disapproving gaze of her mother-in-law, Jiang Yarlian. Her frown made her displeasure clear. However, with so many people around, she couldn't afford to scold Huan openly. She simply shot her a glare before turning away. Beside her, Luo Jingyang whispered angrily, "Are you trying to embarrass me on purpose? Everyone else arrived early, and Ziying has been busy helping mom all morning while you slept in. Have you no manners?" Huan glanced at Jiang Ziying, who was busy serving tea to the elders. With a mocking smile, she remarked, "Cousin Ziying is indeed capable, working tirelessly day and night. I can't compare." "Say that again, and I swear." Luo Jingyang fell silent when he noticed that Old Master Luo and Luo Xiao had arrived. Luo Xiao seemed completely unfazed, appearing not at all like someone who had been injured. The crowd automatically parted to make way for them, and Huan found herself among them. As Luo Xiao passed by, she caught the scent of smoke mixed with greenery emanating from him, causing her heart to skip a few beats. Suddenly, Luo Xiao stopped. Old Master Hua, walking ahead, also came to a halt and frowned. "What's wrong?" Huan felt a chill run down her spine. If Luo Xiao were to say something outrageous, she might just faint on the spot. Luo Xiao's gaze swept over Huan before landing on Luo Jingyang. Jingyang. Luo Jingyang, faced with Luo Xiao, lacked any trace of arrogance, trembling as he replied, "Second brother." Luo Xiao smiled, "How was last night?" Everyone's attention was suddenly drawn to Luo Jingyang, who stammered, I. He nearly bit his own tongue. He had spent the entire night tangled up with Jiang Ziying, with Huan just next door. The thrill of it had left him exhilarated. Why would Luo Xiao bring this up? No, it didn't make sense for Luo Xiao to care about his affairs. And no, Luo Xiao's behavior couldn't be analyzed with common sense. Luo Jingyang's mind became a jumbled mess, and Jiang Ziying felt just as panicked. Their faces paled in unison. Just as Luo Jingyang was about to faint, Luo Xiao lightly tapped his own neck, speaking slowly, "Looks pretty passionate." Luo Jingyang's face turned white as he instantly covered his neck. Last night, Jiang Ziying had intentionally left a mark on him, aiming to provoke Huan. Now, it was a stroke of bad luck that Luo Xiao had seen it. Jiang Ziying felt dizzy but quickly regained her composure. As long as she didn't say anything, no one would know it was her doing. Just as she thought, the crowd's gazes shifted toward Huan, particularly Jiang Yarlian, who looked like she wished she could devour Huan alive. Huan felt wrongfully accused, glaring at Luo Xiao's nonchalant figure, her blood boiling as darkness blurred her vision. At 9:15, the memorial ceremony began. After a lengthy ritual, members of the Luo family took turns to pay their respects. Everyone wore an expression of grief, lamenting the untimely death of the couple. While most appeared sorrowful or melancholic, only Luo Xiao wore a face of indifference, his lips curled in a playful smile, making him seem like an outsider. Jiang Ziying, eager to show off, put down her flowers and wept dramatically. Having worked hard throughout the day, she garnered praise from everyone around. At this moment, seeing her so emotionally invested drew a compliment. "Ziying is such a pure-hearted child." Jiang Ziying wiped her tears, presenting a pitiful visage. I grew up in the Luo family, so it's only right that I give my all. Upon hearing this, Jiang Yarlian shot a glance at Jian Huan, subtly hinting, Ziying is truly considerate. She arrived early to prepare. She has been raised in the Luo family and understands etiquette and propriety. Jiang Ziying beamed with delight, thinking she had gained recognition today, and cried even harder. Are you sad for them? A deep, alluring voice cut through the air. Jiang Ziying snapped her head up to find Luo Xiao smirking at her. Her heart raced violently, and she involuntarily swallowed. Could it be that her kindness and filial piety had touched Luo Xiao, earning her his admiration? Jiang Ziying quickly nodded, feigning innocence. Yes, uncle and aunt were such wonderful people. It's heartbreaking to think I never got to see them one last time. Is that so? Luo Xiao dragged out his words, his gaze roaming over her face, making her blush and her heart race. Then how about I send you to keep them company? What? Jiang Ziying momentarily lost her bearings. Luo Xiao's smile was charming, yet his tone was colder than ice. Aren't you reluctant to part with them? Then go and join them. Should I do it myself, or will you? Jiang Ziying's face drained of color as she retreated in panic. I. Luo Xiao. Old Master Luo couldn't help but interject, chastising him. Just a joke. Luo Xiao raised his palm in a nonchalant gesture. He glanced around. However, if anyone really can't bear to part with them, I don't mind escorting them on their way. The already somber memorial hall grew even quieter at his words. Even the sound of crying lessened, as everyone feared that Luo Xiao might take it seriously. Jiang Ziying slinked to the back, no longer daring to act out. The next to pay their respects was Jian Huan. She first placed the flowers she held on the altar, then knelt on the mat. As Luo Xiao observed her posture, an inappropriate memory flashed in his mind. But back then, he had his hands on her waist. She had cried far more sincerely than these people. Jian Huan was oblivious to Luo Xiao's thoughts, her focus entirely on the black and white photos on the altar. Contrary to her expectations, Luo Xiao's parents appeared to be very gentle individuals, especially his father, who wore glasses and had a scholarly aura. She couldn't fathom how such parents could have raised someone with Luo Xiao's temperament. Halfway through their memorial, Luo Xiao received a phone call and stepped out. Old Master Luo was somewhat displeased but refrained from saying anything. After Luo Xiao left, the pace of the memorial sped up significantly, as if it had turned into a mere formality. The event was for the living, and with the living gone, it was only natural that everyone lost interest. Once the memorial concluded, Jian Huan was summoned back to the plum garden. Upon entering, she found Jiang Yarlian sitting on the sofa with a stern face, while Jiang Ziying stood behind her, massaging her shoulders and murmuring softly. Aunt, you've had a tiring day. Let me help relieve some tension. It's one thing to be tired, but the main issue is the embarrassment I've faced. Jiang Yarlian's voice cracked, making it clear just how furious she was. With so many elders from the Luo family present, a junior like her showed up later than I did as the matriarch. And she knew there was an important event today yet insisted on clinging to Jinyan, leaving behind that mark. What if Luo Xiao had gotten angry? Our whole family would have been dragged down with her. Without hesitation, Jiang Ziying continued to place the blame squarely on Jian Huan. Perhaps it's because my sister-in-law is too infatuated with my cousin. Just a few days ago, she ran away from home because my cousin wasn't affectionate enough, causing quite a stir. What? She actually dared to. Mom. Jian Huan suddenly appeared, interrupting Jiang Yarlian. Chapter 10. The video will capture her face. Jiang Yarlian's nose is not a nose, and her eyes are not eyes. She has a stern face. I'm willing to come. Jian Huan glanced at Jiang Ziying, who was feeling guilty. What do you want me to do? Do I need to tell you? You are not self-disciplined, and you make Jin Yarn lose face. Is this the rule of your Jian family? Jian Huan pretended to be stupid. Mom, I don't understand. Where am I not self-disciplined? Jian Huan's unrepentant look made Jiang Yarlian even more angry. She said without thinking, you still have the nerve to ask. You are obsessed with Jin Yarn, and you still leave that kind of mark on him. What's the difference between you and those shameless prostitutes outside? Jiang Ziying's expression was embarrassed for a moment, but soon returned to normal, and she comforted softly, Aunt, you have a bad heart, don't get angry. Cousin, you should admit your mistake to your aunt. Jian Huan laughed sarcastically. If it's my fault, I admit it, but I was with Lu Jingyang last night. It was not me who started it. What did you say? Jiang Yarlian frowned. If not you, who else could it be? Cousin, Mom is asking you, who was with Jing Yarn last night? Jiang Ziyin was surprised, her tone innocent. Cousin, what are you talking about? How do I know where my cousin is? I was in my own room yesterday. You are in your room, but wasn't Lu Jingyang also in your room? Shut up. Jiang Yarlian interrupted Jian Huan in a stern voice. She was furious. Ziyin and Jingyang are like real siblings. How dare you slander them like this? Jiang Ziyin started crying. Yes, cousin, even if you don't want to admit it, you can't make rumors like this. I have always regarded my cousin as my real brother. She was not worried that Jiang Yarlian would believe Jian Huan at all. She grew up with Jiang Yarlian since she was a child, and the two were as close as mother and daughter. Jiang Yarlian would never believe Jian Huan, an outsider. While they were making a fuss, Lu Jingyang came in from outside. When he saw his beloved cousin crying, he went forward to hug her and wiped her tears without hesitation. What's wrong, Ziyin, who bullied you? Jiang Ziyin cried like a tearful person. Seeing his appearance, she looked like she had seen a savior. She called him pitifully with a soft voice, cousin. Lu Jingyang was so soft-hearted that he comforted her. Don't cry, tell me if you have anything, I will take care of it for you. Jingyang, you came at the right time. Jiang Yarlian glanced at Jian Huan. Jian Huan said that you were not in her room last night, but with Ziyin, what do you say? Lu Jingyang froze and glared at Jian Huan fiercely. This gossipy woman actually dared to complain to his mother. Thinking that she could get him back like this, she was just dreaming. How is it possible? Lu Jingyang denied it without hesitation, and even questioned Jian Huan in return. I clearly slept in your room last night, why did you lie like this? I warn you, if you dare to talk nonsense again and ruin Ziyin's reputation, don't even think about entering the Lu family. Okay Jingyang, you are not worthy of being angry with her. Jiang Yarlian was arrogant. Jian Huan, what else do you have to say? Seeing that their family was banding together to exclude an outsider like her, Jian Huan understood that unless he put the evidence in front of Jiang Yarlian, it would be useless to say anything. I have said everything I should say, whether you believe it or not is your business. How dare you talk to your mother-in-law in this tone? You embarrassed Jingyang, and you still don't repent. I will punish you to clean up the altar, and you are not allowed to let the servants help. In the main hall, Jian Huan picked up the flowers on the altar and put them in the garbage bag. The servants outside had received the news, but no one came forward to help, just whispering. Jian Huan didn't care. Compared with the Jian family's methods of torturing people, these were just child's play. She reached out to take the used cup, but was stopped by another hand. Looking up, sister-in-law Yunjing was smiling at her. I'll collect the cups, you go to clean up the plates. With Yunjing's help, Jian Huan's speed was twice as fast. This was the second time Yunjing helped Jian Huan out. After sorting, Jian Huan smiled sincerely. Thank you, sister-in-law. Yunjing smiled and said it was okay, and invited her to sit in the south courtyard. Fifth aunt is actually a nice person. She must be anxious today. Don't take it to heart. Well, no. Yunjing poured tea for her. This tea was just delivered by the tea house. Sister-in-law, please try it. Jian Huan took a few sips and praised politely, it has a subtle fragrance. It is indeed a good tea. Yunjing smiled even more, then sister-in-law, please try more. It was obviously tea, but after Jian Huan drank it, her eyelids became heavier and heavier. Jian Huan felt something was wrong and stood up and said, Sister-in-law, I'm a little tired. I'll go back first. Yunjing stopped her without leaving a trace. Sister-in-law, don't be polite. Your brother is not here. My guest rooms are all clean. If you don't mind, go and lie down in them for a while. Jian Huan wanted to refuse, but her eyes were getting darker and darker. Yunjing helped her sit down. Sister-in-law, are you feeling uncomfortable? Take a rest first. Jian Huan's back softened the moment she leaned on the sofa and did not move. Yunjing tried to call her, sister-in-law. Jian Huan. After calling her a few times and seeing that she didn't respond, Yunjing took off her coat. Jian Huan was wearing a high-neck top, which was not easy to take off. Yunjing first lifted the hem of her coat and pulled her arm out. On her fair skin, ambiguous marks sank into the edge of her underwear along her neck, and scratches could be seen faintly. Yunjing paused with her fingertips. She turned to check Jian Huan's body, and there were no scars on the front. Until she saw Jian Huan's back. The scratches were scattered and shocking, and the broken skin had scabs. It looked like it had been treated. Yunjing frowned, so Jian Huan took the medicine box for herself. She thought about it, picked up the mobile phone on the coffee table and made a call. "Hello, is it convenient to talk?" I checked it, and she was indeed injured. When Yunjing was calling, Jian Huan, who should have been unconscious, moved. Before she lost consciousness, she bit her tongue hard to get a brief moment of clarity. She opened her eyes a little, saw Yunjing sitting with her back to her, and silently took out her phone from her trouser pocket. She didn't dare to move too much, so she could only operate with difficulty in the gap between her body and the sofa, and she had to remind Yunjing to look back at all times. Yunjing didn't notice Jian Huan's little move, and was still talking to the other side. "It should be for yourself." Jian Huan unlocked the phone as quickly as possible, and just opened the text message interface. She heard Yunjing say, "Well, I know what to do." Jian Huan didn't have time to edit, so he clicked 1 on the last contact and sent it. At the same time, Yunjing had ended the call and was about to turn around. There was no time to take the phone back, so she could only hide it under her body. Heartbeats like thunder. Yunjing looked back at Jian Huan, who was sleeping unconsciously, with her hair covering half of her face. She sighed and said helplessly, "Don't blame me. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame yourself for being involved with Lu Xiao." After saying that, she stood up and said to the door, "Come in." 2 bodyguards came in. "Madam." Yunjing glanced at Jian Huan with pity. "Be gentle to her." "Yes." Before leaving, Yunjing added, "The video must capture her face. Only in this way can she be held hostage in the future." Chapter 11 Drugging. "Be gentle, damn. I'm wrong, brother." Hanzong helped Lu Xiao deal with the wound on his abdomen with skillful movements. "Brother Xiao, your wound doesn't look deep, why is it so severely torn?" Lu Xiao curled his lips. How could it not be torn with the way he was tormented last night? After dealing with it, Lu Xiao got up and dressed. As soon as he stood up, Hanzong screamed, "Brother Xiao, what happened to your back? Did someone from Lu Cheng hurt you?" Lu Xiao looked at the mirror and saw scratches of nails on his strong back. He knocked away Hanzong's hand. "You're an idiot." Hanzong reacted and looked surprised. "Did a woman scratch you?" Lu Xiao ignored him. Hanzong was not discouraged by Lu Xiao's coldness, but became more and more courageous. "Is it the one from the Jian family?" "That's not right, brother, didn't you just come out of the Lu family mansion? How could Miss Jian be with you in the Lu family?" Lu Xiao glanced at him. Hanzong was silent, and his pupils dilated instantly. "In the Lu family, Miss Jian." He was full of admiration. Brother Xiao was the one who knew how to play. If he didn't want to play, then it was fine. If he wanted to play, he would play the most exciting one. "You dare to catch even you are really brave." Lu Xiao put on his coat neatly and chuckled. "Not very brave, but your claws are quite sharp." Hanzong said meanly, "Are you addicted?" Lu Xiao's eyebrows swept past the window, and his tone was nonchalant. "It's just new." Hanzong thought, "Well, judging from the tone, I'm afraid I won't see him again in the future." As he was talking, Lu Xiao's cell phone rang. There were only a few people who had Lu Xiao's number, and even fewer who dared to disturb him. Lu Xiao glanced at them indifferently, and his eyes suddenly turned cold. Bang! Jian Huan was thrown to the floor of the guest room, and her eyes were dizzy. Holding until now was already the limit. She bit the tip of her tongue to pieces, and barely stayed awake. The camera was already set up, and the lens silently peeked at everything that was about to happen. Black leather shoes walked towards her. The pants fell to the ground, and at the moment they leaned over, Jian Huan's legs were locked behind one of the legs. The other party obviously didn't expect Jian Huan to be awake, and fell to the ground unexpectedly. While the other didn't react, Jian Huan ran away. When she was brought in, she observed that the door here was locked from the outside. As long as she could lock it before they came out, she would have a chance to escape. "Stop!" The bodyguard stumbled, picked up his pants, and rushed over. The second before he was about to catch Jian Huan rushed out of the room and used all her strength to hold the door. "Open the door!" Outside the door, Jian Huan locked the door, and the roar and the sound of banging the door were locked inside. After doing all this, Jian Huan's legs became weak, wiped the cold sweat from her head, and ran downstairs quickly. But she underestimated the effect of the medicine. After running a few steps, her eyes blurred and she rolled down the stairs. The world was spinning. Even with the carpet cushioning her, Jian Huan still fell hard. A sigh sounded above her head. "Why are you so disobedient?" Looking up, Yunjing's face was blurred in her sight. Seeing the bodyguard behind Yunjing, Jian Huan's heart was completely cold. The bodyguard lifted Jian Huan up, and Yunjing said helplessly, "I didn't want to hurt you." Jian Huan mocked, "You drugged me and asked someone to rape me, is this what you call not hurting?" Yunjing didn't argue anymore, her tone was still gentle. "Take a pill, it will make you feel better." The pink pill was forced into Jian Huan's mouth, and Jian Huan refused to swallow it. The bodyguard opened her mouth and poured water into her throat. The cold liquid flowed down her chin and soaked her front. Cough, 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 cough. As Jian Huan was forced to swallow the pill, a servant hurried in. Chapter 12. Second Master, help me again. "Madam, the fourth master is here." "What?" Yunjing was stunned. Why did Lu Jinyan come at this time? She glanced at Jian Huan. "Take her upstairs and don't let her make any noise." Jian Huan was dragged away with her mouth covered. As soon as she turned the stairs, she heard a laughing male voice downstairs. "Sister-in-law." Someone came. Jian Huan struggled violently and refused to let the bodyguard take her to the guest room. The bodyguard was afraid of making a noise, so he could only press her to the ground first. Downstairs. Yunjing's voice was gentle. "Jinyan, how come you have time to come here?" Lu Jinyan smiled. "I came to find my brother." "Is he here?" "What a coincidence. Your brother is out." "Is that so?" Lu Jinyan looked around inconspicuously, his eyes fixed on the women's shoes left on the stairs. He pretended to be distressed. "I came to borrow something from my eldest brother, I need it urgently." Yunjing hesitated. "What do you want to borrow?" "I'll ask someone to send it to you later." "Oh, that's too much trouble for my sister-in-law. I'll go to my eldest brother's study to get it myself." Without waiting for Yunjing to agree, Lu Jinyan went upstairs. "Hey, fourth brother." On the second floor, Lu Jinyan saw Jian Huan, who was being held up and covered his mouth, and his eyebrows were surprised. Yunjing, who followed him up, had an ugly face. Jian Huan watched their lips open and close, but couldn't hear what they said. At this moment, she was like a dehydrated fish, hot and thirsty. The numbage climbed up along the coccyx inch by inch, and the joints between the bones were itchy. It drove people crazy. In a daze, Jian Huan felt someone holding her up and walking out. She unconsciously climbed the other's neck, and the coolness on the skin made her feel extremely comfortable. Just as she was about to touch him again, someone pinched her wrist, and a teasing voice followed. "That's not okay. If I touch you, second master will beat me to death." Lu Jinyan sent Jian Huan back to the bed, hugged his arm and talked to himself. "Second master only told me to bring you out. My mission is complete." "Second master." Hearing these two words, Jian Huan's already hot blood seemed to be burning. She even missed Lu Xiao's painful arm, the sweat dripping from his neck, and his low panting voice. Jian Huan became more and more unbearable, and she murmured, "Second master, help me again." Lu Jinyan, who was about to leave, suddenly stopped when he heard this and looked back with interest. From what she said, did she sleep too much? Lu Jinyan became interested and pulled a chair to sit by the bed to make a phone call. "Hey, second brother, I've sent the person back to the plum garden." "Yeah." Seeing Lu Xiao so cold, Lu Jinyan raised his eyebrows. Did he guess wrong? He continued, "The person is back, but he was fed with drugs, so he's very strong." "Oh." Lu Xiao's ending tone was lazy. "Then call Lu Jingyang over to let her sleep." Lu Jingyang is Jian Huan's fiancé, so it's only natural to call him over. Lu Jinyan looked at Jian Huan on the bed with pity. It seems that his second brother doesn't care about her. "Okay, I'll call Lu Jingyang now." "No, don't call him." Jian Huan's voice was as soft as a mosquito, but the meaning of rejection was clear. Lu Jinyan simply turned on the radio and put the phone in her hand. His tone was a bit excited. "Then you say it yourself." Jian Huan's eyes could no longer focus. She cried out in a weak voice, "Second master." Lu Xiao's scalp was numb and his temples were throbbing because of her shouting. He cursed and gritted his teeth, "Don't fucking shout." Chapter 13. Money can make the devil steal people. Huan was so angry at Xiao that she felt uncomfortable and wronged, sobbing softly. The crying voice went through the radio waves and went straight into Xiao's head. Xiao gritted his teeth, "You wait for me." Lu Jinyan, who was watching the fun, replied with a smile, Hey, second brother, I'm here. Get her out for me." Lu Jinyan pretended to be embarrassed. Second brother, you know what's going on in the Lu family mansion. There are so many eyes watching. It's a bit difficult to take a living person out." "Heh." Xiao laughed coldly, "Want to take advantage of the fire? Don't dare." Lu Jinyan sighed artificially, "But I even offended my sister-in-law today. I don't know what will happen if we have a falling out. The building in Nanping is yours." Lu Jinyan smiled instantly, "Okay, I'll help you steal someone. Money makes the devil work." I don't know if it applies to others, but it is an absolute truth for Lu Jinyan. Half an hour later, a sack was sent out of the Lu family mansion without anyone noticing. Lu Jinyan had just put the person in the back seat of the car, and before he could say a word, the Bugatti drove away. Lu Jinyan was not annoyed, but waved at the back of the car and went back with a smile. In the car, the sack was loose, and Xiao pulled it open. Huan was already hot, and after being stuffy again, she was sweating all over. Her black hair stuck to her face, her eyes were blurred, and her cheeks were flushed. As soon as she saw Xiao, Huan hugged him unconsciously, and her soft and hot body pressed against him. In the previous few times, Huan was either nervous and shy, or she twisted her hands and feet and refused to cooperate. This was the first time she was so enthusiastic. Xiao took advantage of the situation and put her on his lap, took off his coat and put it on her back to block the peeping eyes of the front row. "Watch out for your eyes if you look again." Xiao raised his eyes. Hanzong, who was driving, quickly looked away and laughed dryly, "I'll drive." Huan had reached her limit of endurance. She hummed a few times and kissed him incoherently. Xiao looked down at her rubbing like a cat, and slapped her on the buttocks with a little punishment. "Don't be naughty, we'll be there soon." Huan's ears were buzzing, and she couldn't hear what Xiao was saying. All she could see were Xiao's two thin lips with a seductive curve. In the sea of fire where she was, there was only a coolness there. She ignored the thorns around her, trembling, and stuck to it. Xiao's eyes darkened, pinched her neck, and kissed her deeply. When she collapsed in his arms, he bit her ear fiercely, "If I don't make you obedient today, I'll take your last name." The memory that followed was not clear. Huan seemed to be on a ship that would never dock, floating and sinking in the huge waves. In the end, she couldn't even tell whether it was she or Xiao who took the medicine. Xiao's fierceness made people weak in the legs, and he was tireless like a hungry wolf. And she was like his prey, forced to endure his biting and plundering. The hour hand turned 7 or 8 times, and when Huan woke up, the room was dark, and there seemed to be a figure by the window. "Second master." Huan's voice was too hoarse, and only 2 syllables were uttered. "Miss Jian, are you awake?" The light turned on, Huan squinted her eyes, and when she got used to the light source, she saw a strange man. He wore a pair of ripped jeans, dyed red hair, and had a scar between his eyebrows. No matter how you look at him, he doesn't look like a good person. "Who are you?" "I'm Hanzong. Brother Xiao asked me to stay here and wait for you to wake up." Hanzong also looked at her, "Can you move?" Chapter 14. Not someone she can mess with. Huan subconsciously pulled the quilt to cover herself. When she looked down, she found that she was dressed neatly and the sticky feeling on her body disappeared. It seemed that she had cleaned up. "You?" Hanzong quickly distanced herself from the matter. "I didn't move anything. I was playing games over there." Huan nodded. She supported herself on the edge of the bed and stood up, but fell back as soon as she stood up. Hanzong instinctively reached out to help her, but then retracted his hand and rubbed it. "Can you walk by yourself?" "Yes." Huan forced herself to get up. "Let's go." When she went out, she found that this was a single family courtyard, but it was very empty inside and there was no breath of life. Hanzong looked careless, but he was careful. He took the initiative to explain, "This is Brother Xiao's place, which is closest to the Lu mansion." Huan nodded and said nothing more. This silence lasted until he sent her back to the Lu mansion. Seeing that they were almost there, Hanzong was a little curious. Aren't you going to ask where brother Xiao went? Jian Huan said lightly, if he wanted me to know, he wouldn't let you come. Hanzong shrugged, as a tacit agreement. Jian Huan looked at the quiet street outside the car window. Lu Xiao had spent so much effort to get her out, it would be a lie to say that she was not touched. But Lu Xiao's meaning was very clear, so there was no need to humiliate herself again. Besides, a man like him could ask someone to get her out of Yunjing's hands and detoxify her, which was considered to be a great kindness. It was a fleeting love affair, and the clues were leaked, so there was no need to continue. Jian Huan silently warned herself that Lu Xiao was not someone she could provoke, and it was a good thing to break up. Southern Courtyard. Lu Cheng came in with a tired look on his face, and Yunjing handed him a cup of ginseng tea. Have some tea. Lu Cheng brushed it away. Tell me in detail what happened today. After a long time. Lu Cheng's tone was gloomy. You said, Lu Jinyan came and took the person away. Yes. Yunjing said cautiously, I didn't expect him to come here suddenly. Where did he take Jian Huan? He sent her back to the plum garden. I asked the servants, and he left after sending her away. Yunjing said softly, from this point of view, Jian Huan and Lu Xiao should not have that kind of relationship. Otherwise, he wouldn't have just left her alone. Lu Cheng's face was half bright and half dark under the light, and suddenly, his face changed. Go to the plum garden immediately. Yunjing was startled. Why? Lu Cheng said in a gloomy tone, Jian Huan is very likely not in the plum garden. Knock, knock, knock. Yunjing stood outside Jian Huan's bedroom and knocked on the door. Sister-in-law, it's me, I came to see you. No answer. Yunjing tried to turn the doorknob and locked it. She knocked persistently. Sister-in-law, are you in there? The knocking startled Jiang Yarlian. She came down from the third floor and saw Yunjing, and asked inexplicably, what are you doing? Fifth aunt. Yunjing greeted her and then said in a gentle voice, Sister-in-law didn't feel well when she left my place this afternoon. I was worried and wanted to come and see her. She looked at the closed door with a worried look on her face. It's just that sister-in-law didn't open the door all the time. I don't know if I didn't treat her well enough and annoyed her. Jiang Yarlian didn't like Jian Huan in the first place, and she was even more unhappy when she heard it. Yunjing, as the eldest sister-in-law, came to see her, but she dared to close the door and not see her, without any courtesy. Jiang Yarlian said coldly, ask someone to bring the key to this room, I want to see what she is doing in there. The key was handed to Jiang Yarlian, and the key teeth entered the lock, and with a click, the door opened. The room was dark, the curtains were drawn tightly, and there was a human-shaped bulge on the bed, motionless. Yunjing was not confused, and walked to the bed to pull the quilt. Sister-in-law. Chapter 15. Seeing the clues for the first time and blocking people at the door. Something unexpected happened. Lifting the quilt, Jian Huan was sleeping soundly. After being woken up, she sat up with a confused expression. Mom, sister-in-law, why are you here? Jian Huan was wearing pajamas and acted just like she had just woken up, but she was still wearing outer pants where the quilt covered her, and she didn't even take off her shoes. Yunjing was stunned for a moment, then smiled again. It's okay, I just saw that you were not feeling well when you left, so I thought of coming to see you. Humph, you sleep well. Jiang Yarlian was about to say something to Jian Huan, but suddenly thought of something. Why are you alone? Where is Jingyan? Mom, call me. Lu Jingyan, who came after hearing the news, looked guilty. Yunjing looked at Jian Huan, then at Lu Jingyan, and said jokingly, Jingyan, where are you from? Why are you leaving your sister-in-law alone in an empty room? I just went to see Ziyin. Jiang Yarlian felt strange when she saw Lu Jingyan's incoherent speech. It was late at night, and he went to Ziyin's room. My cousin was not feeling well just now, so I asked Jingyan to go over and see her. At the stalemate, Jian Huan spoke. To help. Lu Jingyan was surprised, and quickly followed Jian Huan and said, yes, Ziyin's medicine is missing, I'll go and help look for it. In order to cover up, he added, Jian Huan was going to go with me, but she was too tired, so I let her rest. Yunjing pondered for a few seconds, and suddenly smiled. I came at the wrong time. I'm relieved to see that my sister-in-law is fine. Yunjing looked gentle and harmless at this moment, just like Jian Huan when she first saw her. But after going through all that, Jian Huan looked at Yunjing's face again and felt that she was hateful. A storm ended invisibly. After Yunjing left, Jiang Yarlian unexpectedly did not trouble her, but called Lu Jingyang away. Jian Huan's tense back finally relaxed, and she breathed a sigh of relief. She was scared. If she hadn't noticed Yunjing and didn't run upstairs before she entered the plum garden, she didn't know what would happen. Although she didn't know why Yunjing suddenly came to the door, she finally fooled it. This is thanks to Lu Jingyang's cooperation. Jian Huan looked at the half-open door. Jiang Yarlian suddenly called Lu Jingyang away, probably because she had some doubts. People are so interesting. They don't believe you when you say it, but they can't help but suspect it when they go back. Just like now. Jingyang, what's going on between you and Ziying? Lu Jingyang grabbed his neck uncomfortably. What's going on? Ziying is my cousin. I must go to see her if she doesn't feel well. He pretended to be impatient. Mom, you didn't believe Jian Huan's instigation, did you? She is obviously jealous of Ziying. Do you believe her and not us? Jiang Yarlian frowned when she heard Jian Huan's name, and naturally believed Lu Jingyang. I thought she was from the Jian family and would know some rules, but now it seems that she is also uneducated. I will talk to Madame Jian tomorrow and ask her to teach her the rules. Lu Jingyang should have agreed, but thinking that Jian Huan had just helped him out, she must have accepted his relationship with Ziying. So, he rarely spoke for Jian Huan. Forget it, the Gong family's banquet will be the day after tomorrow, let's wait until the banquet is over. When the Gong family was mentioned, Jiang Yarlian's attention was diverted, and she said unwillingly, if I had known that Miss Gong's son intended to come to Haicheng for marriage, I would never let you get engaged to the Jian family. Chapter 16 Real Love. Lu Jingyang didn't feel sorry. He heard that Miss Gong-san's temperament was like the one in power in the Gong family, arrogant and cruel. In addition, the status of the Gong family in Haicheng is the same as that of the Lu family in Beijing. They are all powerful, and they are more and more lawless. Marrying a woman like that is simply a nuisance to yourself. He said indifferently, it's not my turn. Didn't Grandpa intend to let my second brother marry her? Jiang Yarlian sneered, come on, that's the second Master Lu. Your grandpa can hardly meet him, so how can he listen to his arrangements? That's right. Speaking of Lu Xiao, Lu Jingyang couldn't help shivering when he thought of the way Lu Xiao looked at him today. The night was slightly cool. When Han Zong returned, Lu Xiao was standing by the window smoking. Hearing their voice, he turned around and said, did you send her back? His clothes were loose, and his body was still full of lust. He was so lazy that Han Zong felt a little embarrassed. I sent her back. She should have returned to the plum garden by now. Yeah. Lu Xiao exhaled a puff of green smoke. Han Zong couldn't help but said, you've wasted so much time, why don't you send Miss Jian off in person? What a great opportunity to pick up girls. Lu Xiao held the cigarette and smiled, want to pick up girls? He. Han Zong slapped himself and smiled, I'm just talking nonsense. He looked at Lu Xiao's face. Miss Jian is Lu Jingyang's fiancé after all. Although Lu Jingyang is useless, if Lu Cheng gets hold of this matter, it will be a big deal. Lu Xiao glanced at him, what do you want to say? This is the first time I've seen you do a losing business in all these years, brother Xiao. Let alone Lu Jinyan's mercenary nature, asking him for help would definitely be a big ask. Not to mention how many people in the Lu family are enemies of Lu Xiao, and if you're not careful, there will be swords and swords. Han Zong probed, you are not really in love, are you? Lu Xiao was amused, as if he had heard a funny joke. He opened his hand and extinguished their half-burned cigarette, I am only in love with. Looking down, his thin lips curled up into a smile, as bad as it could be. Han Zong smiled knowingly, and also laughed at himself for worrying about nothing. How could someone like Lu Xiao have true feelings? However, after Han Zong left, Lu Xiao opened his hand, and there was a hairpin. He took it off Jian Huan's head in the afternoon. The pure black hairpin only had a pearl at the end, just like her body, flawless white. With a flick of his fingertips, the hairpin flew out through the window, leaving no trace in the night. After that day, Jian Huan and her family stayed at Lu's house for another 2 days. Jiang Yarlian's original intention was to ask Lu Jingyang to please the old man, but the reality was that Lu Jingyang couldn't even see the old man and had to leave in disgrace. The moment she left the gate of the Lu family mansion, Jian Huan's tense spirit for several days finally relaxed. The heavy door closed behind the car. The car took her and Lu Jingyan back to their residence. Lu Jingyan didn't get out of the car, staring at the screen of his mobile phone without raising his head and said, "I have something tonight, see you at the banquet tomorrow." Jian Huan was too lazy to answer the tone of notification. In fact, she wanted to be alone after being tense for so long. On their way back, the phone rang. The note on it was obviously an ordinary name, but Jian Huan looked around like a thief. After making sure that no one had noticed, she found a secluded place to answer. Chapter 17: An exciting phone call. Jian Huan lowered her voice and said, "Why are you calling at this time? Have you not been discovered by the people in the other courtyard? What did you say?" Jian Huan's heart was beating wildly before her brain could react. He woke up. "I'm going over now." Jian Huan was so excited that her hands were shaking and she couldn't hold the car key. She tried several times before she could insert it. She drove out of the community on instinct. 2 years ago, something like that happened at home. Dad jumped off the building, and her brother, the only one who knew the inside story, had a car accident and was in a coma. He was diagnosed as a vegetative state. If it weren't for her face being favored by Jian Lihua, who helped them fake their death and escape to Beijing, their family would never have been able to leave Haicheng alive. Luckily, she saved her life and thought she would live in a daze for the rest of her life. Unexpectedly, her brother could still wake up. Jian Huan wished she could grow wings and fly over. When she encountered a slow-moving road, Jian Huan honked the horn anxiously. Every second of the red light was torture for her. The villa is located in the suburbs, not as prosperous as the city center, and most of them are sanatoriums and resorts. The villa looks no different from an ordinary sanatorium from the outside, but it is the property of the Jian family and is not open to the public. Jian Huan waited outside the door for a long time, but the fence door did not move. She has been here more than once, and the guards all know her. Why would they not let her in? Jian Huan didn't think much, pushed the door and got out of the car, and walked in without stopping, but was stopped by the security guard. "Miss Jian Sai." Jian Huan nodded symbolically, "Please help me open the door." "I'm sorry, Miss Jian Sai, we received a notice that we can't let you in." "Whose notice?" "Mrs. Jian's." Jian Huan paused, and realized that the villa was full of people from the Jian family, and Jian Lihua must have received the news earlier than her. The last time Jian Lihua punished her, she said that she couldn't come to their villa to visit her family this month. It was obviously against the rules to come here without saying hello. Sure enough, the next sentence from the security guard was, "Mrs. Jian ordered that if you come here, let me tell you to go to the Jian family to receive the punishment." The security guard drove the car back. Jian Huan sat in the back seat, no different from a fugitive being escorted. Looking back at the increasingly distant courtyard, her eyes were sore, and she pinched her arm hard to resist the urge to jump out of the car. "I told myself over and over again that it didn't matter, as long as my brother woke up." When I arrived at the Jian family, Jian Lihua was sitting on the sofa drinking tea. It was the same position as usual, and even the sitting posture was exactly the same. Jian Huan walked forward, bowed her head and bent over, "Mother." Jian Lihua glanced at her, "Go to the detention room to receive the punishment." Jian Huan clenched her teeth, "Yes, mother." 2 hours later, Jian Huan was carried back. The moment she let go, she knelt on the ground, and her arms supporting the ground trembled. Her whole body was soaked with sweat, and her face was as pale as paper. "Have you learned your lesson?" The voice above her body was indifferent. Jian Huan nodded, "Thank you, mother, for your teachings. The rules of the Jian family are that you must thank your elders for anything they give you, no matter if it's a beating or a punishment. Get up." Jian Huan supported herself on the sofa to get up, and the mere action of sitting down made her sweat. Jian Lihua looked at her curled-up posture and coughed in dissatisfaction. It was not until Jian Huan straightened her back that she was slightly satisfied. "Tomorrow is the banquet of the Gong family." Jian Huan said hoarsely, "Don't worry, mother, the third Miss Gong has never seen me, and everyone in the capital knows that I am the fourth Miss of the Jian family, and no one will doubt it." Chapter 18: Let her introduce a woman to Mr. Lu Er. Jian Lihua said in a cold tone, "This is something you have to worry about." Jian Huan was speechless. Jian Lihua had warned her since the day she entered the Jian family. Once her identity was exposed, the Jian family would not help her clean up the mess. "If you don't want to implicate your family and die with her, try your best to be the fourth lady of the Jian family. Take your dress tomorrow back, and the makeup artist will go there in advance to put on your makeup. Yes, mother. Jian Huan's dress for every banquet was personally selected by Jian Lihuo, even the dress on the day of the engagement. Not only her, but every girl in the Jian family is like this. For the Jian family, they are more like a commodity than a person. After being wrapped in packaging paper and entering the market, they have to be placed on the display shelf from time to time to promote subsequent products after being sold. All that should be explained has been explained, and it is time for Jian Huan to leave. Just as she stood up, Jian Lihuo asked, "How is your relationship with second master Lu?" Jian Huan's knees weakened, and her body fell back onto the sofa. Her first reaction was that Jian Lihuo knew about her relationship with Lu Xiao. After calming down, she thought that it was impossible, not even the Lu family knew about it, let alone Jian Lihuo. She tried to make her voice sound calm. Second master Lu has a rebellious personality. Although I have met him in the Lu family mansion, I can't talk to him. Jian Huan observed Jian Lihuo's reaction while speaking. Although her expression was a little disappointed, it seemed to be expected. Her tense lumbar spine relaxed a little. It seemed that Jian Lihuo was just asking. She thought it was over, but Jian Lihuo's next words surprised her even more. At tomorrow's banquet, if there is a chance, introduce the second lady to him. What? Jian Huan was stunned, and even couldn't believe her ears. Jian Lihuo was dissatisfied. "You are so shocked and unruly." Realizing her own loss of composure, Jian Huan calmed down and said in a measured tone, "I'm afraid Mr. Lu is not so easy to approach." He is not easy to approach, but he must have heard of the name of the second lady. As a man, he may not refuse. Indeed, she herself used the Jian family as a gimmick to arouse his interest. The second lady Jian's sensational jumping incident was well known in the capital, and she was much more famous than her. People liked chaste women, not because of her chastity, but because of the pleasure of conquering her. This temptation to pull the chaste saint down from the altar with one's own hands is something that no man can resist. As a man with normal or even extraordinary functions in all aspects, Lu Xiao has no reason to refuse. For some reason, this conclusion made Jian Huan feel stuffy in her chest. She attributed this to the fact that it was too embarrassing to introduce a new woman to her former bedmate. Besides, based on the interactions they had had, she was really afraid of Lu Xiao. Just as she was about to find an excuse to refuse, Jian Lihuo suddenly said, "If you do well in this matter, I will allow you to go to the other courtyard after the banquet tomorrow." Jian Huan looked up suddenly. Nothing was more important than seeing her brother. She wanted to see if her brother was really awake and wanted to know what happened that year. A month was too hard to endure. Thinking of this, she took a deep breath. "Yes, mother, I will try my best." After leaving the Jian family, Jian Huan sat in the car for a long time to recover. There were no scars on her body, only a few invisible needle holes on her arms. Those medicines were specially prepared by the Jian family, and each one was painful. When Jian Huan recovered almost completely, she called the other courtyard. No one answered. It is very likely that the phone was taken away. Now that I think about it, the call must have been made at the instruction of Jian Lihuo. It seems that this is the only way to see them. Chapter 19. Will he accept it? Although the influence of the Gong family in Beijing is not as great as that in Haicheng, it is still one of the most powerful families. The Banbao Hotel, where the banquet was held, was already crowded before it started. The security guard seemed to be maintaining order, but in fact he was clearing their way for the guests. Jian Huan drove here by herself, and the security guard glanced at her BMW. Before Jian Huan could answer, a sneer came from the Maserati next to her. "How dare this car drive in?" Jian Huan glanced to the side and saw a woman with a voluptuous figure sitting in the car. She was wearing a deep V evening dress and was touching up her makeup in front of a small mirror. Seeing Jian Huan looking over, she rolled her eyes and went to apply lipstick again. Jian Huan retracted her gaze. "This is my invitation." The security guard took it and saw the word Lu on it, and his perfunctory attitude immediately turned respectful. "Drive along this road, someone will park for you in front." "Thank you." After Jian Huan went in, the woman in Martha was unhappy. She was just told to park on the roadside, so how could that little broken car drive in? "Security. Didn't you say there was no parking space inside?" The security guard in Banba was very polite. He bowed and said, "Excuse me, The lady just now is the fifth young lady of the Liu family. She used the parking space reserved by the Liu family. The Liu family. The woman who was arrogant just now suddenly fell silent and began to regret her verbal quickness. After parking the car, Huan called Lu Jingyang. His voice sounded a little breathless. You go in by yourself. Huan frowned. She didn't care about Lu Jingyang, but they had just got engaged. This was the first banquet they attended together after their marriage. If they were not from the same business, it would not only give people a handle, but also make people think that the Liu family did not value the marriage with the Jian family. His voice was a little colder. I don't care who you are with or what you are doing, but you have to give this marriage the respect it deserves. You don't want that little thing to be known to everyone, right? Huan. If you dare to talk nonsense, try it. Lu Jingyang shouted angrily. I'll wait for you in the lobby. After hanging up the phone, Huan waited for nearly 15 minutes before Lu Jingyang showed up. He hated Huan's threat just now, and didn't even look at her. After entering the banquet hall, he shook her off and went straight to Jiang Ziying. He deliberately got intimate with Jiang Ziying in front of Huan, thinking that this would make Huan jealous and uncomfortable. But he really thought too much. As long as the face-saving project was done, Huan really didn't bother to pay attention to him. Fourth sister. A clear and elegant voice sounded. Huan turned his head and saw the woman in front of him wearing a green cheongsam. Under the plate, her figure was as slender as a weak willow in the wind. Her eyes were slightly sad, and Huan felt a sense of protection for no reason, not to mention the man. Huan nodded slightly. Sister Ruo. The person in front of her was the famous Miss Jian Rongruo. Jian Rongruo smiled lightly, and her every move was very much like an ancient lady in the boudoir. Looking at Jian Rongruo like this, Huan even doubted whether she knew that Madame Jian asked her to hook up with Lu Xiao. After chatting for a few words, it was Jian Rongruo who mentioned it first. It seems that Mr. Lu didn't come today. Huan said casually, he is always late. Jian Rongruo glanced at Huan for a while, and Huan added, it's like this in the Lu family. As he was talking, there was a commotion in the banquet hall. Chapter 20 Meeting an old friend. It was Miss Gongsun who appeared. Even if it was not her own territory, Miss Gongsun was still very powerful. Wearing a long dress with a long train, the hem of which was covered with hand-sewn diamonds, she took the hand of the person next to her and walked down from a height, looking arrogant like a queen who came to inspect her territory. Seeing her so high profile, Jian Rongruo frowned slightly, obviously disapproving. Just as she was about to talk to Huan, she found that Huan had her back to Miss Gongsun. Her face was pale. Fourth sister, what's wrong with you? Fourth sister. Huan could no longer hear Jian Rongruo's voice. She was trembling all over, and her stomach cramped as if she wanted to vomit out the fear in her body. If she was not mistaken, the person next to Miss Gongsun was Guan Weiran. Guan Weiran is here. Does it mean that he is here too? In Haicheng, Guan Weiran has always been by his side. Fourth sister. Huan came back to her senses and said with all her might, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? Jian Rongruo was worried. Why do you look so bad all of a sudden? My stomach is not feeling well. Just when she was thinking about whether to find an excuse to leave first, a few words of gossip floated over. Hey, why is it only Miss Gongsun? Didn't the head of the Gong family come? No, I heard that he was supposed to come, but because of the recurrence of his old illness, he was hospitalized, so he sent the Guan family to accompany Miss Gongsun. Is that so? The two people who were talking were chatting casually, completely unaware that their words just saved Huan's poor heart. Hearing that the man didn't come, Huan's stuffy chest finally squeezed into fresh air. But she still didn't dare to relax, because Guan Weiran had seen her, and more than once. Just as Huan was thinking about it, Jian Rongruo pulled her arm. Fourth sister, Mr. Lu is here. Looking in the direction she pulled, she was caught off guard by Lu Xiao. When their eyes met, Huan's heart trembled. The next second, her sight was blocked by someone. It turned out to be the woman who drove the Maserati just now. The woman boldly took Mr. Lu Xiao's arm and handed the wine in her hand to his lips. Mr. Lu, please give me a favor. This move made Han Zong behind him stunned. Is there still such a fearless person in this day and age? Lu Xiao lowered his head and looked at the woman's flattering face, and he was happy. Okay, you drink first. The woman thought Lu Xiao was flirting with her, and she was instantly excited and nodded repeatedly, okay, I'll drink first. She was thinking in her heart that Mr. Lu was not as scary as the rumors outside. Before he could even get close to his mouth, the rim of the cup was pressed. Wait. Lu Xiao took a puff of his cigarette, put out the half-burned cigarette in the wine glass, and touched the rim of the cup. Drink it. The woman's face changed instantly, and she laughed dryly. Second master, don't be ridiculous, this is not something a human can drink. Lu Xiao glanced at her arm wrapped around him casually. Drink or cut off your hand, choose one. The woman thought Lu Xiao was joking at first, but when she met his bottomless black eyes, she shuddered. She let go as if she had been electrocuted, and drank the spiked wine with gritted teeth. She didn't even dare to raise her head, and ran away in disgrace. The whole process took no more than 3 minutes, but it made Jian Rongruo feel particularly uneasy. Fourth sister, you are the sister-in-law of second master Lu after all, he shouldn't be so disrespectful to us. Jian Huan didn't answer. Even gods couldn't guess what Lu Xiao was thinking, let alone a mortal like her. If she hadn't gone to visit her brother in the courtyard, she would never have gone up to him and caused trouble. Seeing Lu Xiao was about to go in, there were many people inside. If she missed the opportunity now, it would be difficult to find another opportunity later. So Jian Huan didn't bother to think and walked up to him. Second Master Lu. Chapter 21. He accepted another woman. Lu Xiao didn't want to pay attention, but the voice calling his name was too familiar, and his brain automatically replayed the scene of her crying and calling him. In just a pause, the heroine in the picture was already standing in front of him. Jian Huan's hair was tied up behind her head, and she was wearing a pearl white Chinese dress with a stand-up collar covering half of her neck. A little pure, a little charming. Seeing Jian Huan, Han Zong frowned secretly. Jian Huan's attitude before was rational, so why did she come to pester him now? Lu Xiao's thoughts were similar to Han Zong's. He pulled the corner of his lip. What's the matter? You want me to help you again, what? It was obviously a serious sentence, but he interrupted it hotly and harshly. Jian Huan could only pretend not to understand. Second Master Lu, my sister is here today and wants to say hello to you. Jian Rongruo saw Jian Huan winking at her, walked over with a ladylike step, and smiled softly at Lu Xiao. Hello, Second Master Lu. She looked up at Lu Xiao, then lowered her head again, wanting to say something but not saying it. Lu Xiao raised his eyebrows, and a flash of surprise flashed in his eyes, turning into amusement. Sister of my younger brother's sister, what's the matter? Hearing that Lu Xiao's tone was not bad, Jian Rongruo smiled lightly. I want to trouble you with something, I wonder if I can talk to you for a while. Lu Xiao was amused. Although he was replying to Jian Rongruo, his eyes were fixed on Jian Huan. Okay, let's talk upstairs. Jian Huan was stunned when she heard this. Then he thought to himself, what's so surprising, Lu Xiao can accept her, so he can naturally accept Jian Rongruo. Seeing the two of them really go to the lounge upstairs, Han Zong's mouth opened wide enough to fit an egg. Fuck, what is this? He looked at Jian Huan, shook his head and followed. In the blink of an eye, Jian Huan was the only one left. She was alone, while people were toasting each other. Just as she was about to leave, someone suddenly called her from behind. Sila. These two short words, like a sharp blade, pierced through her fake skin and hit her disguised life. Jian Huan suppressed her subconscious reaction and took a sip of the wine on the waiter's tray. When she turned around, she nodded slightly and smiled as if she had just discovered Guan Weiran, a standard lady's etiquette. Seeing her face, Guan Weiran's expression was extremely complicated, with surprise, suspicion, scrutiny and many other emotions changing in turn. He had just noticed Jian Huan, and at that moment, he thought he saw Sila. But Sila had died in Haicheng a long time ago, so how could he come back to life and appear in Beijing? He asked other guests and learned from them that the woman who looked exactly like Sila was the fourth young lady of the Jian family, Jian Huan. Could it be that there are really two people in the world who look so similar? Guan Weiran was suspicious, but he didn't show it on his face. He smiled at Jian Huan. May I know who the young lady is? Jian Huan's tone was polite and distant. I am the fourth young lady of the Jian family, Jian Huan. Her accent was not as soft as that of people from Haicheng, but authentic Beijing dialect. Her gestures were also different from Sila's. She was elegant and calm. At first glance, she was a well-educated lady. Despite this, Guan Weiran still didn't take it lightly. Because they were so similar, they couldn't even be described as similar, they were exactly the same. Jian Huan's heart tightened as Guan Weiran stared at her. She tried to adjust her breathing to stay calm. Since she was suspected, it was not feasible to just pretend to be stupid and avoid him. Jian Huan chose to take the initiative. Who did Mr. Guan call just now? Guan Weiran's eyes gleamed. How do you know my last name is Guan? Chapter 22. Your sister is much more fun than you. Jian Huan said naturally, just now you appeared with Miss Gong-san, and I heard someone mention you. Guan Weiran looked at Jian Huan, and seeing that she was calm, he frowned and smiled. Sorry, I recognized the wrong person just now. Jian Huan also smiled. In that case, then I will. Miss Jian is from Beijing, right? Guan Weiran interrupted her before Jian Huan finished speaking. I am from Haicheng, and this is my first time in Beijing. I wonder if Miss Jian can recommend me some fun places. Okay. Jian Huan's calm appearance concealed extreme uneasiness. Guan Weiran must be suspicious of her. She would be in danger if she stayed for one more second. But she couldn't refuse. If she refused, she would seem guilty. When she was introducing, Guan Weiran kept asking questions, which was more like torture than curiosity. Just when she was entangled and couldn't get away, a waiter hurried over and bowed to her. Miss Jian Sai, Miss Jian asked you to go to the lounge upstairs. She has something urgent to talk to you about. Jian Huan secretly breathed a sigh of relief and smiled apologetically to Guan Weiran. Sorry, my sister asked me to go over. It's my duty. Miss Jian is busy first. After walking a distance, the feeling of being watched disappeared. Jian Huan let out a long breath and broke out in a cold sweat. After a while, she remembered to ask the waiter, did Miss Jian ask me for anything? No, Miss Jian just asked you to come over immediately. In the blink of an eye, they were at the door of the lounge. The waiter led the person and left, leaving Jian Huan alone wandering outside the door. Didn't Jian Rongruo go with Lu Xiao? Why did he suddenly ask her to come over? If she went in now, she wouldn't see anything she shouldn't see. After some struggle, Jian Huan knocked on the door twice. Sister Ruo, are you looking for me? No one answered. Jian Huan tried to push the door, but it was not locked. Inside the door, Jian Rongruo was sitting on the ground wiping her tears. The hem of her cheongsam, which was smooth just now, was torn, revealing a large area of skin. She looked up with tears in her eyes. Fourth sister. Seeing her miserable appearance, Jian Huan had a bad feeling in her heart. Could it be that she disobeyed and angered Lu Xiao? Jian Huan frowned and helped Jian Rongruo up from the ground. Sister Ruo, since you are not feeling well, let's go back first. Jian Rongruo looked at Lu Xiao on the sofa with lingering fear and nodded slightly. Stop. Lu Xiao smiled. Did I let you go? Jian Rongruo was trembling visibly. I. Jian Huan ignored Lu Xiao behind him and opened the door. Sister Ruo, you go out first. I'll talk to the second master and then come back. Jian Rongruo was a little worried, but thinking that Jian Huan was the second master Lu's sister-in-law after all, he shouldn't make things difficult for her, so she tried to go out. Seeing that Lu Xiao didn't stop her, she was as if she had been pardoned and hurried out. The door closed again, and only Jian Huan and Lu Xiao were left in the lounge. Jian Huan turned around. Second master, Sister Ruo didn't mean to offend you. She's just a little conservative and may not be able to accept it. On their first meeting. Suddenly choked up, wasn't this just shooting herself in the foot, implying that she was dissolute? Who knew that Lu Xiao was actually amused by her, and he laughed wantonly. You really think highly of yourself. Your sister is much more playful than you. You can only throw yourself into her arms. But she kneeled down and got under her crotch. Can you do that? Chapter 23. Sit over here and I'll teach you. What? Jian Huan was stunned. She couldn't connect the gentle and polite Jian Rongruo with the words from Lu Xiao's mouth. Her face was full of disbelief. Lu Xiao didn't care and raised his hand. With a bang, the metal lighter fell on the table. Lu Xiao held a cigarette in his mouth and said vaguely, "Come and light it." Jian Huan was silent for a few seconds, then walked up to pick up the golden lighter. The lighter was a style she had never seen before. It had no lid and the fire wheel was horizontal. She flipped it a few times but couldn't find the way. Jian Huan's attention was on the lighter and she didn't notice Lu Xiao's scrutiny from bottom to top. Come over here, I'll teach you. Lu Xiao was sitting on a single sofa, crossing his legs. Having done more intimate things before, Huan had no reason to be pretentious, so she walked over and sat on one of his legs. Lu Xiao didn't break his promise this time, and really taught her. He put his arms around her from behind, holding her hand holding the lighter, and explained to her like a good teacher, this is an old-fashioned arm-lifting lighter. First, push this open, then slide this. The deep voice was right behind her ear, and her eardrum was buzzing. The air around her was blocked by his arms around her side, and Huan felt short of breath. Try it. The lighter was put back into her palm. The metal shell was held by him for a long time, and it was no longer as cold as it was at the beginning, but instead had a warm feeling. Huan tried her best to focus on lighting the lighter. She had hardly used a lighter before. This type of lighter with a pulley requires some skill, not to mention that the pulley of this lighter is on the side, which makes it even more difficult to use. After trying several times, only scattered sparks burst out. The heat spread along the place where the two people were close to each other, and the temperature rose steadily. It was only a flame away from ignition. The broken hair tucked behind her ears fell down after bowing her head for a long time, and the white back of her neck was stained with a thin layer of sweat, shining under the light. Suddenly, a big hand held her hand and the hot lighter. Huan subconsciously raised her head. Don't you want to light it? No need. Lu Xiao pressed down on the back of her neck. It's already lit. Huan jumped up as if she had been electrocuted. Turn your back to me and lie down. Lu Xiao slowly stood up, untied his tie, and issued an order that could not be questioned. Huan was forced to retreat by the oppressive feeling, second master, we can't. This is nonsense. Apart from the beginning, there is nothing she can control between them. Fortunately, Huan is flexible. She softened her tone, it's really not possible today. No. Lu Xiao took off his tie and twisted it around his palm. The soft fabric was like a chain in his hand. He smiled and walked closer. Do you think that a few rejections will make the atmosphere of an affair more romantic? The Jian family has put in a lot of effort to help me get through. Huan was stunned for a moment. Get through. So, Mrs. Jian asked her to introduce Jian Rongruo to Lu Xiao, not to marry him, but to trade. Since the Jian family needed Lu Xiao, wouldn't her previous dedication be premeditated? Huan felt a chill on her back. How could a man like Lu Xiao tolerate being calculated? In a moment, Lu Xiao was already standing in front of her, and the light was mostly blocked by him. It seemed like the first time that Huan faced Lu Xiao like this. He was nearly 1.9 meters tall, so she had to look up until her chin and neck were almost stretched into a straight line, so that she could barely see his face. Lu Xiao's smile was outlined by the shadow. He hung the dark red tie around her neck, wrapped it around, and held both ends. This color is quite suitable for you. The dark red tie was wrapped around her fragile neck like a snake, the red and white matched, and it was very shocking. Chapter 24. Wouldn't it be better for him to see it? Before it was tightened, Huan's hair stood up. Second master, listen to my explanation. What happened between you and me was really an accident. She explained in a hurry, fearing that if she was too late, the tie would become a noose and take her life. She said a lot of things in a confused way. Naturally, she didn't dare to say her fake identity. She only said that she loved Lu Jingyang and was betrayed by him, and she was unwilling to accept it. She was not afraid of Lu Xiao to check this point. The previous Miss Jian Sai had done enough. Lu Xiao listened in this position for a while, and finally raised his eyebrows. Hate turns from love. Yes. Huan nodded with a stiff face. Lu Xiao was happy. You should have said it earlier, I'm the best at revenge. He finally loosened the tie, picked up the phone and dialed a number. Hello, Jingyang, is it convenient? Their voice in the loudspeaker was nervous and flattering. It's convenient, what do you want, second brother? Lu Xiao looked at Huan, who was tense all over, and raised the corners of his lips. Come to the lounge now to find me. Hearing this, Huan's hand on the side clenched instantly. After hanging up the phone, she forced a smile. You're not going to tell him about us, are you? That's so boring. Lu Xiao pushed her to sit on the sofa, leaned over, and held her slender neck. Wouldn't it be better if he saw it with his own eyes? Just as their words fell, Huan felt a chill on her chest, and her front was torn open. The broken plate turned several circles on the ground and disappeared on the carpet. Huan understood what Lu Xiao meant. Not caring about being exposed, she held Lu Xiao's arm and begged, "Don't do this. No matter what, I am Lu Jingyan's fiancé. I have to consider the face of the Jian and Lu families." Lu Xiao sniffed her neck lightly, and suddenly pinched her waist and changed his position. A flash of light appeared in front of her eyes, and Huan sat on his legs with her legs apart. With a swish, the hem of the Chinese dress split under their weight. Before Huan struggled, Lu Xiao smiled, "Don't you want to take revenge on Lu Jingyan? Why are you unwilling to help you? Are you lying to me?" Huan froze. If she didn't want to, it meant that she had planned to approach Lu Xiao. If she was willing, she would perform a live pornographic show with his brother in front of Lu Jingyan. It's a death anyway. After a brief thought, Huan took the initiative to put her arm around his shoulder and said softly, "I want to take revenge on Lu Jingyan, but I don't want to involve you. I know you're not afraid, but it's bad for your reputation after all." Lu Xiao was almost amused by her. A similar scene reminded him of the time when she left him unsuccessfully, and she also gave such a hypocritical explanation that she was going to get him a medicine box. Without exposing her, he smiled playfully, "You're quite sweet." He tightened his grip on her waist, "But your second master likes practical things." The temperature inside the door was rising steadily, and spring was in the air. Outside the door, Lu Jingyan hesitated, and raised and lowered his hand to knock on the door. After receiving the call, Lu Jingyan hurried upstairs. He was trembling all the way, and he couldn't figure out what this fierce god in his family wanted him for. Could it be that he had offended second master in some way? Standing at the door at this moment, Lu Jingyan even had the illusion of going to the guillotine. After a long mental struggle, he mustered up the courage to knock on the door. He didn't dare to use too much force, and his knuckles lightly touched the door panel. "Second brother? Are you there? Second brother? I'm Jingyan, can I come in?" Behind the door, the second brother he mentioned rolled onto the narrow bed in the lounge with his fiancée, and it was time for fun. Hearing Lu Jingyan's voice, Lu Xiao chuckled and looked down at Huan under him. "Baby, the protagonist is here, say hello." Chapter 25. Is it Huan who was with second master Lu? Huan bit her lips since she heard Lu Jingyan's voice, fearing that he would hear a syllable or two. She endured so hard, but Lu Xiao actually asked her to say hello. Why not just get a microphone for her to perform on tour? Huan's heart ached with hatred, but she didn't dare to reveal it on her face, and just looked at him with pleading eyes. Unfortunately, Lu Xiao has never been a man who cherishes women. He smiled wickedly, and just as he was about to call Lu Jingyan in, his lips softened. Her vine-like arms wrapped around his muscular neck, and her fingertips caressed the tense muscles of his shoulders and neck, with a strong sense of flattery. Lu Xiao raised his eyebrows, accepted her passive initiative, and focused on this affair. Huan gritted her teeth and endured it. As long as Lu Xiao didn't respond, this matter could be fooled. Seeing what she was thinking, Lu Xiao whispered in her ear, "The door is not locked." Huan froze. As if to cooperate with his words, the knock on the door sounded again, this time accompanied by Lu Jingyan's question. "I'm coming in." Huan got goosebumps when she heard the subtle sound of the doorknob turning. "Hiss." Lu Xiao frowned, "Don't be so tight. Second master." Huan's eyes turned red, and her eyes were pleading. Lu Xiao's lumbar spine was numb, and the two words sounded poisonous when she said them. His face was gloomy, like a wolf in heat, which made Huan panic. "Don't want him to come in." Huan nodded vigorously. "Then make some noise." At the same time, Lu Jingyan was trying to push the door. "Second brother. Are you in there?" As soon as the door opened a crack, he heard a fierce noise. Lu Jingyan was stunned for 2 seconds, and immediately understood what Lu Xiao was doing, and he was so scared that he quickly retreated. Sorry, I'll go out now." In addition to panic, it is inevitable to be curious. Who can catch the eyes of second master Lu? But he didn't have the courage to look, and could only guess in his heart. A second before the door closed, he suddenly heard a cry of pain. The tail sound seemed to have a soft hook, and he felt his head and lower abdomen tighten. The most important thing is that this voice is a little familiar. Before he could listen carefully, the door was locked. Lu Jingyan frowned and stared at the door. Why does it sound so much like Huan? He shook his head. How could he have such a ridiculous idea? Jian Huan and Mr. Lu are not related at all. Besides, Mr. Lu has all kinds of women, so how could he be interested in Jian Huan, who is so boring? Having said that, Lu Jingyarn still had a doubt in his heart. Back in the banquet hall, he couldn't help asking about Jian Huan. Mom, have you seen Jian Huan? Jian Huan. Hearing Lu Jingyang's question, Jiang Yarlian remembered that she still had a daughter-in-law. Looking at Miss Gongsun not far away, she spoke again with a bit of resentment. How do I know where she went? She has no rules at all. Other daughters-in-law know to take care of their mothers-in-law at the banquet, but she went to hide away. Look at Miss Gongsun, she is a lady from a noble family. Lu Jingyarn listened absent-mindedly and murmured, could it be that the one upstairs is really her? How is it possible? What did you say? Jiang Yarlian was puzzled. Nothing, I'll go over there to look for her. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Jingyarn left in a hurry. Jiang Yarlian was even more dissatisfied with his absent-minded appearance, thinking that Jian Huan was not easy to worry about. Looking at Miss Gongsun, who was the center of attention, Jiang Yarlian felt very sorry. Chapter 26, Which Fairy Haunted Me? As the protagonist of today, Miss Gongsun is the center of attention. Facing the guests who came to greet her, she was arrogant and had almost no smile on her face. It was Guan Weiran who managed to deal with it. After the guests left, Guan Weiran said carefully, Miss An, this is a wealthy family in Beijing after all, give them some face. What's wrong with a wealthy family in Beijing? What kind of thing is worthy of my flattery? Guan Weiran wanted to say more, but was interrupted by Gong Xiao. Okay, don't talk about those insignificant people. Where's Lu Xiao, hasn't he come yet? Knowing that Gong Xiao held this banquet for Lu Xiao, Guan Weiran naturally helped her keep an eye on him. Lu Eri came, but I haven't seen him for a long time. I wonder if he left. Left? Gong Xiao's voice suddenly rose, impossible. He can't leave without saying a word to me. Is he entangled by some goblin? Oh. Tell me. Which woman did he talk to? Guan Weiran couldn't get away from her, so he had to tell the truth. At the beginning of the banquet, a model chatted with Lu Eri. Later, he also said a few words to Jian Rongruo, the second lady of the Jian family. What is it? Dare to flirt with the second master, find someone to teach her a lesson. And that Jian Rongruo. Miss San. Guan Weiran advised, Jian Rongruo is a wealthy lady after all. This is not Haicheng. Let us keep a low profile. Gong Xiao's gorgeous face became terrifying because of jealousy. If this were in Haicheng, I would definitely kill them. Get that model, Jian Rongruo, for me first, and I'll slowly deal with her later. Yes. Guan Weiran turned around to do it, and after walking a few steps, he suddenly heard a familiar name. Have you seen Jian Huan? Lu Jingyarn asked several people in a row but got no results, and the suspicion in his heart became stronger. Just when he was considering whether to go back to the lounge, a strange man suddenly stood in front of him. Are you looking for Miss Jian? Lu Jingyarn was impatient. Yes, did you see her? Guan Weiran smiled, she was called away by her sister. After a few detailed questions, Lu Jingyarn finally felt relieved. He said, how could Lu Xiao be with Jian Huan? He felt relieved, and then he was in the mood to look at the man in front of him. Who are you? I am Guan Weiran, and I came with Miss Gongsun. Guan Weiran paused, are you the fifth young master of the Lu family? Lu Jingyarn was surprised, do you know me? I have heard that in Haicheng, the younger generation of the Lu family are all outstanding, and the fifth young master is even more outstanding. He joined the Lu group at a young age and has a bright future. Lu Jingyarn has always been a bystander in the Lu family. After being praised by Guan Weiran, he was happy and put on airs. It's just that the elders at home appreciate me. Fifth young master is too modest. Guan Weiran is an old hand, and he quickly started chatting with Lu Jingyarn. During the conversation, he asked a lot of questions about Jian Huan without leaving any trace. Lu Jingyarn didn't notice Guan Weiran's probing, he was so happy to be praised, and he even exchanged business cards with him before leaving. As soon as Guan Weiran left, Jian Huan called in. Lu Jingyarn lost his interest and asked sternly, where are you? My skirt is spilt with wine, go change it. Change skirt. Lu Jingyarn was suspicious, weren't you called away by Jian Rongruo? After a pause, he said, I asked my sister to accompany me. If Lu Jingyan cared enough about Jian Huan, he would definitely notice that Guan Weiyuan said that Jian Huan was called away by her sister. And now Jian Huan said that she asked her sister to accompany her. Chapter 27. You are timid and dare to provoke me. Luckily, Lu Jingyan did not notice the difference between the two. He just disliked that Jian Huan made him look for her for so long. Feeling that he had wasted time, he said unhappily, even if you were changing clothes, you should have said something. How could you disappear without saying hello? Who do you think you are? Oh, you were busy flirting with your cousin Ziying at that time. I didn't want to disturb you. Hearing this, Lu Jingyan, who was still skeptical, sneered, how can you compare with Ziying? You were so anxious to find me, I thought we could compare. Who was anxious to find you? I was. Lu Jingyan choked. He couldn't say that he suspected that she had rolled into bed with his second brother, so he was anxious to find her to confirm. You love her to death. After saying this, Lu Jingyan hung up the phone. Jian Huan on the other end of the phone breathed a sigh of relief. She deliberately angered Lu Jingyan so that he would be cold to her and would not notice her abnormality. Thinking of this, Jian Huan glanced at the culprit not far away with resentment. She was still angry that he deliberately provoked her to speak and was discovered by Lu Jingyan, but she dared not speak. Lu Xiao was wearing clothes while holding a cigarette in his mouth. He noticed her gaze and raised his eyebrows in the smoke. What are you looking for? Jian Huan quickly looked away and looked at the rag-like clothes on the bed, feeling even more annoyed. With more anger and more courage, she smiled with a fake smile. Second master ruined my clothes, do you want to compensate me? Lu Xiao took down the cigarette, walked to the bed, and lowered his body to look at her. The sight slid down from her face. How do you want me to compensate you? The idea just now was instantly turned into bubbles by Lu Xiao's look. Lacking confidence and momentum, she muttered, at least help me find something to wear. Lu Xiao sneered, what a good idea. He got up and made a phone call. Not long after, there was a knock on the door. Han Zong came in with his eyes closed, holding a paper bag and pushing it randomly in the air. I didn't see anything. Lu Xiao sat like a big shot, so it was impossible for him to answer it. Then only Jian Huan was left. She was curled up in the blanket and couldn't go either, so she shouted, just leave it there, thank you. Han Zong also sent a white long skirt, which was different from hers in style, but the length was about the same. Lu Xiao wouldn't care about this kind of thing. Han Zong probably prepared it by comparing it with what she was wearing. No wonder he had been with Lu Xiao for so long, he was really good at doing things. Putting on the clothes, Jian Huan tied her hair in front of the mirror. The person in the mirror had swollen eyelids, overly red lips, and charming eyebrows and eyes. The worst thing was that she started to tremble after standing for a while. It was only after she begged for a long time that Lu Xiao reluctantly ate a fast food. Since it was fast food, she was destined not to chew it slowly. In half an hour, all the bones in her body were chewed up. She tied her hair behind her head as she came, and as she was tidying up, her mood also returned to a decent state. She looked at Lu Xiao, who she had intentionally blocked. Since she took the clothes, he stared at her without hesitation. She could only ignore his gaze and reluctantly put on the clothes. After calming down, Jian Huan felt it necessary to explain the matter of the Jian family. Taking advantage of the warmth and affection just now, she still had some face, so as to prevent this gentleman from coming up with any new ideas to torment her. Well, what I just said is true. Before I really didn't know that the Jian family asked you for something. Do you know what the Jian family asked me to do? Jian Huan shook her head honestly, I don't know. Without waiting for Lu Xiao to speak, Jian Huan added, I don't want to know. Lu Xiao raised his eyebrow, how dare you recruit me in the first place if you are so timid?